evening, everybody. Welcome to Wish We Were Then. This is the show that's been doomed to repeat history so that you may learn from it. I threw myself off a little bit by saying good evening. I feel like I usually say good morning, even though it's always like the afternoon when we record. We never record any other time of day. And I always say good morning, but this time I went with good evening. Scared myself, startled myself. I was shook. Now I don't know where to go from here. Why don't you say something now? This is my co-host, Mark.
Hey guys, welcome to Wish We Were Then. The podcast has been doomed to repeat history, so you can learn from it. We're jumping into a very fun year. A lot of exciting things happened.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say that it felt like more of a hearkening back to the prior decade, especially with like the music and stuff.
That's very interesting you should say that, because I was going to say, I don't know if I said this. My name is Trey. I'll delete that if I did say it already.
I don't think you did.
All right, good. That's staying in then. Interesting you should point that out, though, because that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, we speak a lot about how the early years in a decade are transitional years. They hold a lot of responsibility when it comes to setting the tone for the coming decade. How is this going to look different than what just occurred prior? How are we going to differentiate ourselves from the previous decade? And I think at first glance, the 1980s and the 1970s couldn't be more dissimilar in terms of two decades that are right next to each other. They're probably the most different from one another when you're looking at them. You know, when they seem different right away. And this year itself seemed to be right away. It seemed drastically different from the decade that just happened. Like it seemed to set itself apart. But when you got looking closer, there still was a lot of the 70s hanging around. The top movie of the year is a sequel to the number one movie of 1977. The Billboard Hot 100 had a lot of disco hanging around it. Despite disco having been declared dead recently, it seemed to be alive and well on the Billboard charts, I think. But I think that the spot where this year really did the best job of differentiating itself and making it way different than what just occurred was the introduction of a massive amount of color. Thank the Lord. We're done with the earth tone color palette of the 1970s. We're doing away with the brown, the beige, the tan, the taupe, the oranges, and the burnt siennas. Enough of that washed out bullshit. The 70s were a very singular toned decade. Like that's the only thing available to them or something like that. They only had brown to work with. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know why it was so popular, but it was definitely on everyone's shag carpets.
Yeah, exactly. This year we saw a lot of primary color, a lot of vibrant, bright colors going on all over. A lot of the toys and the merchandise and the video games that would be emblematic of the entire decade came out this year, the very first year of the decade. Tonight, we are looking at the year 1980. I said tonight that time. I went from
Good job. Hey, you're consistent at least.
We're going down. We went from evening to nighttime. All right. The sun has set here on Wish We Were Then. This is Wish We Were Then nighttime edition. Ooh, after dark. It's going to be raunchier than normal. I don't know how that's... We're not a very clean show, so gotta really have to fucking step it up this time. All right, but yeah, anyway, we're looking at 1980 today.
Every time I was listening to the music and stuff, I had to keep reminding myself, oh yeah, most of this stuff came out in 1979.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I was like, okay, this is still like reminiscent of the 70s because it's right there, but it just doesn't feel like an 80s year, especially after all the years that we've done. Even 81 seems like it sets itself apart from this pretty drastically.
Definitely on the Hot 100, I can feel you there.
Yeah.
The rest of it, we'll take a look, though. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that came out in the other parts of it that were pretty shocking, I think, in terms of like some of the new wave and stuff that you go, oh, they were some cool stuff happening in 1980 right away. That's like 80s decade icon songs did come out this year. They just weren't that popular right away.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll look into all that when we get to the music, but yeah, it definitely was a lot more. Like I said, there was a lot of, oh hey, this decade is crazily different, and then I started getting deeper into it and going, wait a minute, this is all kind of a lot of the same stuff going on. I mean, even the news stories, all of that was lasting conflicts that had gone on impacted. There weren't a ton of like huge news stories, but all of these old conflicts and stuff worked their way into other areas. like the sports and stuff like that we'll talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
But
All right.
let's
Well,
look at the regular news first, I guess.
yeah, let's dive right in. After a 5 year quote unquote deep standby for the military draft that was ended in 1975,
Oh.
Jimmy Carter made a proclamation which required men from 18 to 25 to register for the peacetime draft again.
Oh shit.
And it's funny because we talked about him getting elected and in 76, I think, or in 77, and he ran on the platform of partying
Partying with all the draft.
pardoning all of the draft dodgers in the 70s. So then he just turned around and was like, well, but if you do it again, you're screwed.
Hmm.
So he re-implemented the draft. Do you remember having this? Did you sign the paper when you were 18 that you got?
That said, I was going to be drafted.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, yeah. I feel like I did, but I also went to college right out of high school.
Oh yeah.
So I knew that was part. Because I do remember that being something where I was like, "Fuck, I might have to be on the draft," but I don't have to because I go to college. I'm okay.
Oh yeah.
You're like
No, I
automatically.
signed it.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure is how it was. I mean, I could be totally wrong about that. I just remember that being the thing was that it was like if you go to school, you're fine until you're out of school.
Yeah.
With a college thing, like if you graduate college, you're still able to be drafted then, right?
If you're under 25.
Yeah. So they're like, "Hey, good job going to school. Now you can go die."
But you go in as an officer in the military.
Oh, if you haven't been to college,
Yeah, if
they
you have a
draft
degree.
you. Yeah, that sucks. You get drafted in, and they just give you.
But if you like graduated college, you could and then go into the military
Yeah.
willingly. Yeah, you become a
Well,
you're
but I mean, if
automatically
they
officer.
draft you, if you're eligible for the draft still after college,
Yeah.
I don't know. No, that's nuts though. That's crazy that it was still in 1980 that it was put back. So the draft is it just like going on now? Is it still a thing that you could at any moment be drafted if you're 18?
I think up until 25. Like I said,
Damn.
I don't think they draft anybody unless it's like, I don't know, really dire issues. I'm sure in World War II they were drafting people over 25.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess it's the thing is that we have a lot more people in general in the country now. So there's a lot more people who willingly enter the military
Yes.
than before. I think back then it was like I have 2 sons. I don't want them both going to the army. Then I'm fucked. Like I need somebody to help around the house. Now that is just so many more.
We got
people
Roombas and shit.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think. There's much more of a desire among the population to join up. It seems.
Yeah.
So you don't run out of military people. Plus, there's just more of the whole mechanization or automation of military stuff. Now there's stuff that isn't. You don't need to have foot soldiers out there. So I guess that's good.
All right, you got a news story?
Yeah.
The news story.
I got something here on May 18th. This was a big story when we were kids.
This is one I was talking about.
Okay. I thought this was like more recent than this. When I was younger, we talked about it was in school all the time. I remember watching a lot of videos on it and like Bill Nye, I feel like talked about it at some point. So I just thought this was a much more recent thing, like in maybe the early 90s. Anyway, on May 18th of 1980, Mount St. Helens in Washington would experience a volcanic eruption. It was a huge, devastating, the worst volcanic eruption in the contiguous U.S. As far as it being in the terms of it being a country, this is the worst volcanic eruption that's occurred in the history of this place. I think it's even prior to like as far as recorded history goes on our continent in our country's space. This is the worst volcano. Pretty crazy to be talking about a volcano erupting in modern day America, I think. Interesting.
Yeah, you just never know, man. They're ticking time bombs.
Yeah, it feels like that's something that I guess it's that we just didn't develop nations around volcanoes. Because you think, why aren't there where do they deal with volcanoes? You don't really picture people. Where's the country that deals with volcanoes? Maybe Japan.
Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii has volcanoes. That's for sure. I was gonna say in real like big in like countries, not just states or like an island nation. And Japan is an island nation, but still, Japan I think is the only one I can think of that I picture them having some sort. If you heard about Japan experience a volcanic eruption, it wouldn't shock me.
I don't know. I feel like you hear about them randomly. Like, remember that one that happened in like the Netherlands,
I don't know.
and it like shut down air travel throughout like all of Northern Europe because there's just like a black
Because
cloud of
the
smoke.
ash, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean, that's was a big thing
you just.
here with the
I
ash
feel like
cloud.
everybody just uniquely has to deal with them randomly.
Yeah, I suppose they're not like earthquakes where it's just like or tornadoes or something where you go, yeah, that's a volcano area. They deal with volcanoes all the time. Maybe island places you see that being an issue. And like I said, you just don't build up a whole civilization and country around a volcano because you know that's like an active one that's going off all the time. It makes sense not to live next to it. It'd be dumb to do so. So
Ask Pompeii.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that was just this situation, I guess. Though that was one that they didn't expect to go off, and then it did. There were like a series of things kind of leading up to this, but only since really March. This occurred in May. There were a couple months leading up to it of like some lead time to tip them off. This something's about to happen. The big one's coming, but nothing had really occurred since 1850. About, I mean, I had been 130 years almost.
They've been like monitoring it.
Yeah, that was the last time any big explosion had happened at Mount St. Helens. Had been
Oh, okay.
around 1850. Then in March, they started to get a series of earthquakes that then led to steam venting events and just random kind of stuff like that, weakened the whole north side of Mount St. Helens. And then a big earthquake occurred on March 18th that just had the whole front side of the mountain basically slide off, which is actually the largest landslide, subaerial. Was that what the word is here that I'm looking for? Yeah, largest subaerial landslide in recorded history, not just in the U.S. Subaerial just means directly under the sky. So, like, I guess there maybe is subterranean landslides that they could be counting,
Mm.
but just in terms of like a regular ass landslide, this is the biggest one ever.
Like when you would think of a landslide, this
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
you would think of.
yeah, exactly. This is the largest one to have ever occurred in recorded history. That kind of surprised me.
Damn.
Yeah, what that like a
Well, yeah,
mudslide
the
or
whole north side of a mountain slides off.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
So
right. I mean, I always thought avalanche or like a mudslide or something would have been the largest, but yeah, no, you're the entire side of a mountain does seem to trump that now that I'm thinking about it. So no, but Mark, you didn't think of some mud. There was a bunch of lava and volcanic rock that then met with uh, all of the glaciers and all the ice and snow that was out. So it formed what is called lahars, which is a volcanic mudslide. So that's why I remember seeing video and pictures and stuff of like all the pyroclastic flow coming down and stuff, but it looks very mud like. I thought it wasn't. I didn't know there was lava involved in Mount St. Helens eruption. It's because it mixed up with all the snow and shit, and then became a new, even an extra bonus thing. Lahars. It's like
that's crazy.
you got lava, you got mudslides. This is both combined.
It's crazy. Mudslides destroyed homes up to 50 miles away.
Yeah, damn. I love that's pretty far fucking reach to still be like destroying things, not just inconveniencing people that far away.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that's you had time. That's the shitty thing is you didn't. They had a couple months of knowing. I think that's something that
Something's
I would
going
take
on. Yeah.
seriously. Yeah, if they're like, hey, they think that that mountain might explode. I bet we need to fucking try to maybe go visit grandma for a while. I all things said, a mountain exploded. A whole side of the mountain fell off. We've decided this was a pretty large explosion in our minds. 57 people were killed. So that is a tragedy, but it's also they did seem to mitigate it decently. It wasn't like
Yeah.
thousands of people lost their lives. Like we've talked about buildings exploding and killing more people than this. So the fact that a
Yeah, that's
mountain
true.
exploded, they did a pretty good job of making sure people didn't die, I think. Two people were killed in accidents that were caused by visibility issues, like driving accidents, I think. And then two more from heart attacks shoveling ash.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what a strange occurrence to happen twice specifically.
Is it because of the ash?
Yeah, I guess that they probably were pretty stressed out.
I could imagine.
So yeah, I think it was a combination. They're like, I can't believe I'm shoveling ash right now to get
It was
out.
a stressful ash day.
Exactly. It the blast was equal to 26 megatons of TNT, which I had to look that up. A megaton is equal to 1 million tons of TNT.
What?
this
Holy
is
crap.
this is 26 million tons of TNT's worth of explosion, essentially.
Jeez.
There were, the day before it exploded, 50 cars worth of people were allowed to go drive up to like their cabins and stuff and get belongings. And they were scheduled to let more people go up on the 18th. But they had been like, they had a red zone set up so people couldn't go in to the area that might be in danger prior to this. So on the 17th, they're like, all right, fine, you can go in and get some stuff. They'd kept them out of there for that long. And then on the 17th, finally let them in. Like, damn, you guys got incredibly lucky that you didn't just send 50 cars worth of people up to their death. Like, what if it exploded right then when they went up there? I mean, they were supposed to send more people up on the 18th. They just got lucky that didn't occur. But
dang,
yeah, it's like, damn, man, you guys had months to do this, but then waited till the last second. You did almost the worst possible timing to open up the red zone. Just keep it closed. Just have to tell people, I'm sorry, but no, you can't have your shit.
Yeah, right?
Those 50 people got lucky, though. They got all their stuff out.
True.
Left a crater 1 to 2 miles wide and 2,100 feet deep in the mountain.
Jeez.
And smaller eruptions continue to happen throughout the year after this. Like all throughout 1980, there were more like smaller than this, but still sizable eruptions of like plumes of smoke going up 9 miles into the air and shit like that throughout the entire year until finally in 1981, it started to experience what was called dome building eruptions, which is basically it reforming back into a covered volcano instead of it being an active one. But basically this thing's just it's not like going back to sleep for a while. It still is like, even it calming down is like, rah, rah. It's like falling asleep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, not touch it.
It said, and when I was reading about it, it said that ash blew up to 10 miles into the sky and it landed in 11 U.S. states and parts of Canada.
Wow.
So not just the surrounding areas, 11 states were affected by this.
It's pretty nuts.
I mean, not like majorly affected, but
yeah, no, but
noticeably affected.
Yeah. It's inconvenient. Poor guys. But no, this definitely was something that was, as I said, it was something that when we were children, I feel like we learned about this a fair amount. I remember watching stories. It was something that was pretty recent, less than 20 years ago. And in science class, when you're learning about volcanoes, like, hey, here's a good example of something that happened pretty damn recently.
Yeah, I also remember watching the videos and stuff.
Now it's something, when I read about it, I was like, oh shit, Mount St. Helens. I haven't thought about that in a while. I don't live in Washington, so it must be difficult for those people to forget about it.
Yeah.
All right. You got any other news? I have one other story.
No, those are my two big ones.
I have one other story, and this one's a fun one. On April 24th, there was a scandal involving the lottery in Pennsylvania. There was a game called the Daily Number, which was basically just, they picked 3 numbers on ping pong balls. And then if you had the ticket with those numbers on, you won. It was a pretty simple system. So pretty easy to hack, you know. They just have to figure out how to influence what 3 balls are going to get chosen. This game was hosted by Nick Perry, was the guy's name. He discussed his plan of rigging the game first with his partners, the Maragos brothers. They were his partners in his vending machine business that he had on the side. I don't know why he involved them. They seemed like they didn't need to be involved in this plan. I don't know. He was just bouncing the idea off somebody, I guess, because they don't really have much to do. You'll see. Let's see what happens. So he first discussed it with the Maragos brothers. Then he talked to the art director at the station, who he had create weighted balls that they could use in this. So that guy seems pretty necessary. Then he talked to the lottery official that was, the liaison to the station, who gave him access to the machine and the balls. So that guy's also pretty necessary. He involved a stagehand who actually physically switched the balls from the weighted ones to the unweighted ones. They were the 4 and 6 balls were the ones that they went with. They decided to add weight to, and then the way that they rigged the game was they knew it was going to be 4s and 6s. So they just went out and bought combinations of all the 4s and 6s. That's why the Maragos brothers are here. They have to buy all the tickets. They're the ones who don't work for the station. Duh. Anyway, so they have to go out and buy a bunch of different combinations. There's eight possible combinations, 8 different ways that these 3 digits can work out to be 4s and 6s. And it ends up being 666, interestingly, are the 3 numbers that get chosen. Just like, damn, that really unfortunate.
Red flag.
Yeah, exactly. That's a red flag. That's a pretty unfortunate couple numbers to land on. There was a payout of $3.5 million, which was a record for this Pennsylvania lottery. $1.18 million went to the scammers. So there's actually a lot of people still won a lot of money on this. It just wasn't not. It wasn't like all of this went to them. So they made $1.18 million. That was divided up between like 7 people because it's a pretty hefty amount of people. I guess the 8th person must have been the blonde woman. That's who I was trying to figure out. I was trying to work out who got charged in this case because they said 8 at one point, but only 7 people were charged with crimes. And I couldn't figure out who the 8th was. It was the blonde woman, probably. She is basically the way that they got found out about this was that first the authorities could tell there were being a lot of numbers being bought in weird quantities, like of lottery tickets. Why are they being 4s and 8s so much? That's strange. There was another guy too that they involved who bought stuff out of state for some reason. I don't know why there was an out of state guy buying things from West Virginia. So he was another person involved in this, just so we have all of the people involved. The Maragos brothers went to a bar to buy tickets with some blonde woman. And then while they were there, they called somebody and spoke in a foreign language, which turned out to be Greek. And they were talking about how they were buying the They then held up the phone so they could hear all the tickets being bought. The guy at the bar thought this was strange. And so when then the cops were kind of questioning people about this lottery thing, this guy was like, hey, these weird fucking people came in and spoke Greek and bought a whole bunch of 4s and 6s. So with some hot blonde lady. So that tipped off the cops. They pulled the phone records. They were able to trace it back to the television station. The actual announcer's booth was the phone that was being used. That strongly implicated Perry. And they end up really hammering down the Maragos brothers, actually, because they were the ones who bought the tickets. So they determined it was them. And they sang like a couple canaries. Perry got 7 years for criminal conspiracy, criminal mischief, theft by deception, rigging a publicly exhibited contest, and perjury. The Maragos brothers received no jail time because they testified against Perry and everybody else involved in the whole scheme. So these guys who like comically fucked things up by showing up with a big-titted blonde woman and speaking in Greek loudly.
So yeah, great movie.
Yeah, I mean, they immediately get caught. Yeah, it sounds like a Scorsese movie. You'd be like, what is this shit? This is too fucking fanciful. This is how they got caught? It really does sound like a Scorsese movie, like Wolf of Wall Street or something. Like these guys would be played by Jonah Hill and John Bernthal, like yelling at each other, like, what are you talking about? They did do a movie at one point in the 2000s, I want to say, with like John Travolta and Lisa Kudrow that was loosely based on this story. It actually hasn't been something that's been utilized too much for fiction. So I think that somebody could write this up. This would make a very interesting story.
It was just 7 years that guy got?
Yeah, 7 years. They only got $1 million.
It's true. It's a lot more back then. But still,
yeah.
Like, what did the other people get? Do you know?
I can't remember. He was the ringleader. He was the one charged
less.
he was the one charged with most stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that long.
I don't know. 7
I
years.
Feel like it's like 7 years. You get out in 5, maybe good behavior. You know.
Well, let's see. If you got, let's assume they split it up. So they also recovered most of the money from the Maragos brothers as well because they were the ones who bought all the tickets. So let's say it was, what was it? It was 1.18 million. So let's just call it 1.2 million. 1980. $1 million in 1980 is worth about $4 million today. So you split that up though between 8 people or so, give or take, you're getting about $500,000. So
yeah.
for 500,000 or even $1 million, you have to spend 7 years in jail. That's not really a great trade-off. I don't think in like today's economy it
It's
wouldn't
not
be
like you
that
got to
great.
keep the money and you have to do 7 years in jail.
Yeah, that's also something that anytime you think of something like that, you're like, well, you got $1 million. Like, no, you didn't. You got zero. He had to go to jail. Like, damn, that sucks. Not a fun trade-off, I think.
I think a lot more people would rob people if that was the case. Like, you can keep it, but
Yeah,
you got to
definitely.
go to jail first.
Fuck, man. You're like, that's you just bury the money, and then you don't ever they can never catch you, or you just don't tell them when they catch you where it is.
Mm-hmm. Spent it all.
Yeah, exactly. But I bought a bunch of hookers and booze, and now it's all gone. I can't. It's gone.
Snorted it all. It's
Yeah, exactly. Okie dokie. Shall we
right.
move on to the food section?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
On September 20th, Whole Foods Market opens up
Oh,
in Austin, Texas, actually.
oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Expected that to be like an Oregon or
Yeah,
California thing.
yeah, for sure. Definitely a West Coast thing, not the South, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's like gentrification brought to you by Austin, Texas.
Yeah, Austin, if it's going to be anywhere but those places, I guess it makes sense. Austin's a very
Yeah, I guess anywhere in
Coast
Texas,
place.
especially, is a little more liberal. It's Austin.
Yeah, Austin would exist fine on the West Coast. I don't know if I've ever shopped at Whole Foods. I'm trying to think. I feel like I've been in there, and then they're very fancy. They have like,
I feel like I've been in there when I have to.
yeah,
It's like I gotta go. It's right around the corner.
you're at the beach.
Yeah.
That's for some
like
reason
that,
it feels like
yeah.
you're going camping or something. You're like, fuck, we didn't get cheese. You're like, we got to stop at this
Yeah.
place. You're like walking around. What the fuck is this place? That's definitely one of those places like Gelson's or something like that I've been to. That just driving over the Ortegas or something that you're like, fuck, we don't have something that we need. So you pull in to buy beer, or we'll stop. We'll get beer when we're closer. That way it's not all warm because of the drive. And then you just pull into some weird grocery store, and you're like, well, I don't know if we should be here. Are we allowed to be here? They're gonna check my
It's
ID.
really nice for board shorts and flip flops.
Yeah, somebody can come up and be like, "Listen, sir, you're not dressed appropriately for this this establishment." Let's see. Let's move on now to another. This is like the next. That's cool that was September. So right after that, in November, on the 19th of November, we have the opening of a restaurant that at the time had a hilarious name. I guess let me tell you what it became known as first, because the name that they fucking started with was very funny to me. You wouldn't guess this is where it started. Applebee's, the first location, opened November 19th in Decatur, Georgia. It was founded by Bill and TJ Palmer. Applebee not part of their name whatsoever. They just Bill and TJ Palmer. They wanted the name Applebee spelled Apple B-Y, all one word, Applebee. So like, their name is B-E-E. They wanted to be B-Y at the end of it. So I was like, that's a bad spelling. Apple Buy is what that looks like. It doesn't look good.
Yeah.
But that name was taken, unfortunately for them. So they had to like pivot and find a new name. It was like they ended up landing on a better one. They also just spelled it differently. It doesn't seem like you should be allowed to do that. It's like, I really want McDonald's, but it's taken. Like, all right, I'll take McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Yeah. But I guess we've seen that before with Denny's. Denny's was Danny's, and it couldn't. Danny's was a place already, so it became Denny's. So anyway, they wanted Applebee, couldn't have it. They considered going with Cinnamons or Peppers before landing on Applebee's, just spelled differently. We could come up with a whole
is pretty
different
good.
name. Yeah, I think. What if they were like, we can't be Peppers, it's too close to Chili's. Let's just be Applebee's, but spell it differently. They had 100 restaurants by 1989. They had 1,000 restaurants by 1998.
Damn.
Yeah, they really exploded pretty quickly. The name that they did end up opening their first restaurant under, though, was not just Applebee's. It was, remember, it was Bill and TJ Palmer. The name of the restaurant was TJ Applebee's Prescription RX. TJ Applebee's RX for edibles and elixirs.
That's a pretty cool name, to be
That's a
honest with
very
you.
fucking wild name. They were essentially the same thing they are now, though. They weren't like a cowboy themed bar or something like that. It was like Prospectors or something. It was just a neighborhood bar and grill, is what they were. But it was TJ Applebee's prescription for edibles and elixirs.
It's I don't know. That sounds like somewhere you'd get like a dope speakeasy style cocktail. It's like a guy with like a chemist suit behind
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bar
for
with
sure, like an
like a
apothecary. Yeah,
yeah, has like a brew.
yeah,
It's green and bubbling back there.
yeah. And I guess I wonder if the TJ, if the cinnamon and pepper was attached to that. If they wanted to be TJ Applebee's and just spelled it the other way, and they're like, "Look, it's fucking different than Applebee's. We're TJ Applebee's edibles prescription and
Yeah,
elixir."
yeah.
Like, I wonder if they thought about, oh, what if we were TJ Peppers prescription for edibles and elixirs, or TJ Cinnamons. Those are good names too, actually. I like those a lot. I like TJ Applebee's is okay, but next to TJ Pepper's prescription for edibles and elixirs, I think I prefer TJ Cinnamons.
They're like everyone's gonna confuse us with Dr. Pepper.
That's true. That's probably where that one had to have gone away. And TJ Cinnamons isn't quite as good as TJ Applebee's. Just fucking funny. Very funny name for that place.
It's so weird.
Love it. Love the name TJ Applebee's prescription for edibles and elixirs. All right, now let's see. About 1 month later, December 8th, Los Angeles, California, the first El Pollo Loco in the United States opened up. It was actually started by Juan Francisco Ochoa in Sinaloa, Mexico, back in 1975. So
I did not know that.
yeah, I didn't know that either. They existed for 5 years prior to coming to the U.S. They were successful. They branched out and started opening up restaurants here. Their first U.S. location earned $125,000 per month, reportedly, when it opened.
Dang.
A lot of money for back then. That's for inflation. That's like $5 million a year. Pretty good. Their first menu consisted simply of, you could get a half or a whole chicken with some tortillas, some warm tortillas, and a cup of salsa.
Perfect.
Yeah, pretty simple. I mean, it's still not. It hasn't changed that much, honestly. But it's just, you can get half or a
you
whole.
get like rice and beans and shit now.
Yeah. Or you get burritos that are pre-made, and some corn, some other stuff. But in 1983, the 19 U.S. restaurants by that point were bought by Denny's, actually.
Oh.
And the Ochoas were able to retain control of the Mexican locations, which the family still runs and operates to this day.
That's cool. I would be down to go to the Mexican ones, try it out.
A little different. Yeah, it's not the same thing here, it's the original. You're getting closer to how they used to be back when they started. I also got numbers about the same sort of benchmarks. They had 200 locations by 1990. So they were doing better
in
than
Mexico?
No, in the US.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they were doing actually a little better than Applebee's up top. But by 1999, when Applebee's had 1,000 restaurants, there were 274 El Pollo Loco locations. So they slowed down growth quite a bit. Like they started off pretty hard and heavy, and then they're mostly all in California, though. Mostly just in the Southwest. They did try a few in Orlando, Atlanta, Boston, New Jersey, and Portland, Oregon, all of which closed not too long after opening. So for some reason, it only works in California and a couple other states around there. But yeah, mostly
just more of the Hispanic heritage, I guess.
I guess so. I guess that's a big part of it, is that it's Mexican food for real. It's not funny American Mexican food like Taco
Del
Bell.
Taco or Taco Bell.
Yeah. They have a couple here in Texas. So yeah, I mean, I guess it mostly makes sense that it's just people who are used to this type of food that tastes like real Mexican food.
I mean, just tortillas and chicken isn't most people's idea of a meal, but it is definitely a meal in a lot of Mexican cultures.
Yeah.
And they do that with a lot of different
time
meats.
making the chicken. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they
do that with like carne asada, and then they'll add like cilantro and onions.
Yeah,
and, like,
exactly.
lime.
You don't
You
really
know what I mean? Like,
yeah, in Mexico you don't really put lettuce and tomato and cheese on tacos and stuff. Like that's not really. It's kind of like weird. Like you're like, I don't really need a salad on top of my taco. I could eat that on the side if you want to, but taco is just fine by itself. So, and sometimes I kind of feel like there could be too much of that stuff on tacos. Like I do like a an El Pollo Loco taco every once in a while, but it's not my go-to either.
Yeah.
But that's more like how it is eating at my grandma's house. It's just sort of she just makes the meat and you eat it in tortillas for the most part.
Hmm.
This also
It's also
we talked recently about a giant food stuff, and so here's another one. The Guinness World Record for largest burrito was made by El Pollo Loco in 1995. This sucker was 3,112 feet long and weighed
what?
2 tons.
Jeez.
Entirely too large for a burrito, in my opinion.
How many tortillas did that take?
Just one. No, I don't know. They're all normal sized tortillas. And they just like
You just like laid them out and
lick them
like
and
a
stick
grab.
them. But yeah, there you go. That's the tale of El Pollo Loco. Taste the fire.
I got another food thing. We'll keep it in the chicken realm.
But
The McChicken was introduced.
okay.
It was to compete with other places that have been coming out with chicken breast offerings.
Hmm.
So it was a toasted wheat bun, chicken patty breaded with 50-50 of white and dark meat, shredded lettuce, and mayonnaise. But it didn't do very well. It didn't sell
Hmm.
very well. They discontinued it pretty shortly afterwards and then just kept doing the chicken nuggets pretty much because that's what was the chicken product that was moving for them.
Yeah.
But they took it off and they reintroduced it in 1988 and then pulled it again and then reintroduced it again in 1996.
Damn.
So it's not something that stays around very long, which is weird because I think they just rebranded it now. I don't think it's called the McChicken,
Well, it is.
but I
They have them
think
now
they've.
as McChickens.
Oh, they do. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
they've rebranded it since '96 and come out with them sporadically. I just thought it was always on there.
Yeah, yeah. I always think that's so weird. That I mean, I guess when we were younger, was like a renaissance of chicken sandwiches. Because there were most people had one when we were kids. Obviously, 1996. You said they brought it back, and I know Jack in the Box had the Jack in the Box chicken sandwich, their little one, and a lot of places had chicken sandwiches. And then they just sort of they started making better ones. They became like fancy a little bit, and then they just all disappeared. And the only place that had a chicken sandwich anymore was Wendy's for some reason. And then when
Then the
Chick-fil-A
chicken
became
wars
popular,
happened.
and yeah, and the same thing with like the chicken strips. Everyone did away with chicken strips. It just sort of was like people just didn't. For some reason, the only way to get chicken at most restaurants was chicken nuggets, or that was kind of it or the McChicken. I guess is just quietly the only other chicken sandwich for a long time. I liked the Wendy's was my favorite chicken sandwich back then. Now most places do have pretty good chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, once the chicken wars popped off, that's when everybody went at it. It was like when Chick-fil-A was coming back around and then everybody made a chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
Even Taco Bell
well, it was
had chicken
Popeyes.
nugget. Popeyes too.
That was the one that made
Was
everything crazy. Was Popeyes' chicken sandwich? Like people were fighting over it and stuff like that. For some reason, it was like
mhm.
supposedly the greatest thing in the world, and then everybody had to make a chicken sandwich. And I mean, I think they're good. Like I don't even know if they still have those though. Like the McDonald's one that had they come in the little like Chick-fil-A or whatever. They come in the little foil bag.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think McDonald's has those anymore.
They were very important for like 2 years, and then now they're just gone
Yeah.
again. I love them. I prefer chicken sandwiches to hamburgers. Like for usually, if I'm going to eat fast food with any sort of frequency, I'd rather be eating chicken than trying to eat a bunch of hamburgers all the time. It just feels a lot heavier. All right, ready to bounce on out of the food, out of McDonald's, get out of here?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, let's move on to technology.
Okay, so on January 6th, the Global Positioning Systems time epoch began. So this is the first time they're using GPS to track our time zones
Oh.
for like more exact timekeeping.
Hmm.
So I think it was very loosely based and general before this. Everyone just
Yeah.
kind of had their clocks set to what they thought it was.
We all just basically agree on the time around here. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's based off the clock in the middle of town or something. I don't know.
yeah. You just like roll into town, and then you're like, you just over the border. You just came from your town where it's like, yeah, it's 7:07 right now, and you're like, oh, we crossed time zones, so now it's gonna be 8:07. You walk up, and everyone's like, it's 8:10. You're like, no, it should be 8:07. They're like, nope, it's 8:10 in town. Look around, everyone's watch says 8:10. The clocks all say 8:10. Your town is 1 hour and 3 minutes behind us.
Keep up with the times, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
weird. Fucking, that's cool. That's interesting. Yeah, I wouldn't have considered that. That's very funny though. You're just shouting over one time the next. What time do you guys have? All right, cool. We'll do
You
the
got the
same.
time?
Yeah, we'll make our clocks also be that time. That way we're all about the same time. Funny. Fucking weird. That's also just weird to think of before that. I guess you just had to rely on what, sundials or something? Like how did you have specific time for everybody before time zones were a thing? That had to
Well, I
have been it,
think.
right?
Well, I think this is more of like, were they just not worried about up to the minute? I don't know.
I don't know.
Because it's
You had
like my
one
watch says 4:06 and yours says 3:59.
that must be why that older towns, you think of Britain and shit, there was a giant clock tower. So that way everybody in town knew, bong, it's fucking 12, everybody. Everybody's at 12. All of you.
Yeah.
There's no question about
Whether
it.
you like it or not.
Yeah. Like, what time do you have? 11. It's like, no, you don't. Did you hear that? It's fucking 12. Everyone heard it. Your watch is wrong. There's not no. There's no question about it. Like, sorry, sir, I didn't realize I was late. My watch is wrong. Like, didn't you hear the bong? Come on. All right. Well, let's see. So back in the 1960s, in 1968, while working for the company 3M, they make adhesives and stuff like that. The scientist Spencer Silver was trying to create a super strong adhesive. Like, he didn't do that at all. He actually ended up creating like a very, very weak, incredibly weak adhesive, one that could be reused, peeled off, and stuck onto something else without ever really losing its stickiness. It's pretty remarkable, actually, now even when I think about it. It really is pretty cool. The adhesive that he would use, he tried for like 5 years to gain some sort of traction with. He held seminars at 3M. And nobody ever really gave a shit for some reason. People just were like, no, this is stupid. It's useless. We don't know what to use your little low pressure reusable adhesive, which just wasn't doing it for anybody. One of the guys, one of his colleagues, who was named Arthur Fry, went to one of these seminars, took the shit home and put it on his bookmark and used it in his hymnal at church, and then decided that he came up, found a practical application for this stuff, attaching it to paper. So 3M had what was called a permitted bootlegging policy. That's how they phrased it, which allowed employees to spend part of their workday on any kind of project they chose to pursue, which is pretty cool. They're just scientists. They're like letting them improv while they're out there. And they decided to start. He and Spencer Silver started working on what would come to be Post-it notes, essentially.
Oh, that's cool.
And they attach this stuff to the back of papers to make little reusable adhesive strips of paper that you can leave notes on and stuff like that. They chose the initial yellow just by chance because it was the scrap paper that was available in the lab next door to them. So they just cut up a bunch of yellow paper and attached it to adhesive. They first tested it in 1977 in 4 cities where it performed pretty poorly. It was called Press and Peel. But then the next year they became what was called the Boise Blitz. It was like fun that they have all these fucking names for stuff. 3M seems like a fun company to work for, They have permitted bootlegging and Press and Peel and the Boise Blitz. Just a very fun place. So they renamed it to Post-it Notes. I think Press and Peel, I guess it's too generic a name. Post-it Notes isn't like a great name either, but it stuck and did really well in Boise. They gave out free samples to office buildings in Boise, and that pretty much did it. It was just like a drug dealer. They're just like, here, you want some? Try some of this. And they were like, we cannot live without this shit. This was incredible. Where do we get more? And fully launched in the U.S. in 1980. So that's what we're talking about it here. And the next year would show up in Canada and Europe. But yeah, it became a product across this country in 1980.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, wild too. Like, I mean, that he stuck with trying to get that shit off the ground, because hilarious to be like, you failed, you fucked up. You tried to make a super strong adhesive. Like Post-it notes are the weakest adhesive ever. You did a terrible job. And then for 5 years, he's like, no, this is really good, right? He didn't even attach it to the paper for the whole time. He just was trying to get people to understand, hey, this really shitty glue is gonna do wonders for some reason. And just took that other guy figuring out, oh, I'm gonna use it as a bookmark. And like, damn, Spencer Silver, you idiot! You didn't think to put it on paper 5 years. 5 years that never occurred to you to think of some other use for it. But
Well, because people use paper for glue, or glue for paper all the time.
yeah, it's just weird
So
that
why would you not?
It didn't cross his mind how to like come up with a practical application. It's very funny to me.
Didn't have a kid, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he was an ideas man. He came up with this amazing product. He just couldn't figure out how to like make it matter to anybody. For video games, this is a big year for video games. There's one huge one, but first I just want to mention briefly a game called Rally X. This was a pretty cool game. It was one of the first games to have bonus stages. Like, if you did well enough, you unlocked a bonus stage. And then also, it was one of the first games to have continuous background music. So
that's cool.
Yeah, two things that would be very prominent for especially arcade games moving forward. So really, of the 80s, this was a big thing. But also, I mean, and the continuous music is a part of video games now too. So that all would debut with this game, Rally X. It also it had the bonus stages were one of those things where you just have to go. No one helped you out with translating here. They were called, on the English translation versions, they were called the challenging stage. Which I'm not being racist. That's how the fucking shit was spelled. It was CHARANGIING. So yeah, it was challenging because that's how somebody told somebody to write it down, and they didn't go, excuse me, sir, I think you mean this. How did this make it fully into port?
He's like, that's what he said.
Or
any critical thinking at all?
Yeah, or I guess you're like, I'm not getting in trouble for changing this, and they go, why did you change that? Like, or you just go, I don't know what the Japanese are doing. This is what it's called. There's a word there. Like, it's challenging.
I don't know what he said. Just write it down phonetically.
Yeah, I don't know. On that stage, you're forced to challenge. There's going to be things down there. It's a video game. I don't know. Like, you shoot lasers, you challenge it. I don't know what happens. It was like a maze game that you would go through and have to collect different items and run away from opponents as they chased you through the maze, and you collected power-ups. The game was inspired by 1979's Head On. If that gameplay sounds familiar to you, it's because another game that came out this year was also inspired by Head On. This game, Rally X, would use the same composer for the music, as well as being built on the same like internal board as another game that would come out this year on May 22nd.
Which is Pacman. It came out in Japan on May 22nd, so it wasn't released in the US yet. It was originally titled Pacman. It was developed by Namco, and I guess it was inspired by a pizza that had one slice removed out of it.
Yeah, for his shape.
Yeah, for his shape.
Yeah, that's funny. I like that. And that's what he seems like. It makes sense.
Pacman came from the Japanese phrase Panku Panku Tarbu, which means gobble up. But it was named Pacman for U.S. releases to avoid vandalism concerns over the P being altered to an F.
Yeah, that's very funny. So it'd be fuck man. That's very funny to me. But it's funny because like his name was Pacman because of Paku Paku, but that's closer to Pac-Man. It's not Paku Paku. It's P-A-K-U, P-A-K-U. So it's P-A.
So if it was like P-A-K.
Yeah, so it still should be Pac-Man either way. So I don't know why it was Pac-Man in the first place. But also Paku Paku is like an onomatopoeia in Japan. So that's like supposed to be close to the name, the noise that he's making too. I mean, it's like for gobble, gobble, gobble. So like that's the Paku Paku Paku. Like that's what they...
Oh.
Yeah, so he's gobbling up everything, and so they made the noise an onomatopoeia to reference that. But I don't know how that translates to Puck Man. I think in the U.S. they were like, he looks like a hockey puck. That's probably what we're operating with. And they're like, we can't name him that. We'll name him Pacman. It's like, well, I think that's what the Japanese named him in the first place. Why didn't you like take credit for that? They're gonna vandalize it, make it say puck into fuck. You're like, that's all in your head. Why did you come up with that scenario? Like it should have been PEAK anyway. The reason
Fuck, man.
the reason why the
That's
game
hilarious.
the reason the game was created was Toru Iwatani, who worked at Namco. He wanted to create a game to appeal to women because most games at the time were all violent and filled with shooting and sports, and he felt girls liked two things: cute, fun characters, as well as eating. Something that came up a couple times in Japan. I know there was another year when I was looking up a video game that was really cool, and I didn't talk about it because it wasn't something that was popular. I really don't remember much about it other than it being like an old timey game that was like ice cream based and sweets based, and it came out in Japan. But it was like really popular there because Japanese women. It was made for Japanese women because they love sweets. That was like the idea, and that came up before this, so it was a proven concept that women in Japan liked colorful characters on their video games and eating. So this was what they based Pac-Man after.
And who doesn't like eating? Come on.
Men. It's a women's job. No, I don't know. Japan, I guess.
Dude, what are you eating? Chipotle? That's gross. You girl.
Get that out of here. You gay? You suck on the world's largest burrito. Like you said, the shape was inspired by pizza, so that like ties into the eating thing too. There also was Iwatani also had said at a certain point that the shape was inspired by the Japanese character for mouth that like he reshaped into being that, like, you know, the letter symbol for mouth. He kind of like pushed in a piece of and made it look like Pac-Man, supposedly. But both, it's weird when there's like both stories of how something came to be are accepted and out there, and both being said by the creator and stuff. Oh, he's based on a piece of pizza. Also, I did this. Like, which one is it? Because both things work fully, so it can't be both. Which one happened first? You know?
I'm looking at this character, and it's a square. So,
well, he had to round a fuck ton of it, I guess.
Dude, he had to change it a lot. It's
he really got in there with the hammer and chisel. We got to do some work. We're gonna make this thing into a mouth. So yeah, I think that's sort of doesn't seem. I think that was he sort of added that after the fact, in my opinion. But I don't know. Who knows what's in a man's heart? The power-ups idea was based on Popeye. He gains abilities when he eats spinach, so they had Pac-Man eat stuff and make him more powerful, chase the ghosts around.
But this is the second thing that Popeye would inspire for Japanese video games.
That's true. You're right, because he's
supposed to be Donkey Kong,
right?
Fighting Donkey Kong,
fighting Pluto.
Yeah.
That's right there. That's funny. Yeah, good memory there. I totally forgot about that. Interesting that that Popeye. Interesting that Popeye is such a huge influence on Japanese gaming. Weird.
Yeah.
The fruit being in the game and the way it looks, I've always kind of made the connection in my mind, but it actually was based on the graphics on slot machines.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's cool. The ghosts are based on Casper, the friendly ghost, as well as Obaki no Kyutaro, which is a Japanese manga about ghosts. Their names, actually, I was shocked to find out because I've always known their names to be. Do you know what their names are? Like just off the top of your head?
Nope.
No,
I didn't even know there was.
Yeah, I've heard the ghost names are Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. That's how like people refer to them.
I feel like I've heard those.
Yeah. Those are the Pac-Man
names.
Those are the Pac-Man ghosts. That's how we refer to them in the U.S. for the most part. Their actual official names, I guess, are Inky is Bashful, Speedy is Pinky, Blinky is Shadow, and Clyde is Pokey. So the real names are Bashful, Speedy, Shadow, and Pokey. Not as cool. In Japanese, their names translate to Fickle, Ambush, Chase, and Playing Dumb. Because it describes how they attack you.
Mm-hmm.
In the U.S.,
that
we just call them.
Would be good information to have playing the game.
Right, yeah, that's why in their actual names they're supposed to be Bashful, Speedy. Shadow, I guess, it's just always chasing you, always right on you. And Pokey, because he alternates. Or he's plays dumb, I don't know. Anyway. The highest grossing game in Japan in 1980 and in the U.S., highest grossing game 1981. So immediately caught on. Became a huge hit across arcades. Kids loved the bright colors. It did exactly what they were hoping for. Arcades had become kind of a seedy place. It was filled with cigarette smoke and adult men drinking beers and playing pinball and playing shooting games. And they weren't family friendly locations in 1980. And Pac-Man became super popular and attracted a new wave of youngsters and people. I mean, of course, kids went to arcades, but it just made it seem more family friendly because it was this vibrant, bright, colorful, not focused on violence. It was just a silly, cutesy character. They didn't think it was going to do well in America, the Japanese producers, because they were like, they don't really like games like this there. We make games like this and they don't like them. So this one just kind of randomly popped off. They didn't think it was going to do that great, and um, it was definitely they like was noted as being the most popular game with women in 1981,
They
and
hit their mark.
and it was more popular with women than it was with men. So like they were the majority of the buyers for it. It's the best-selling arcade game ever, and was the best-selling game on the Atari 2600. So it was the 1980s like top game. Really, it's like you think when you think of the 80s, there are a couple of games that come to mind: Pac-Man, Tetris, Super Mario. But I think Pac-Man kind of was the winner in terms of sales.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Let's move on now into the toys. As I was saying before in the opening, this year injected in so much color. Pac-Man is a great example of that. It succeeded because it was super colorful, the colors of the ghosts and all that. In the mid 1970s, there was a man named Erno Rubik who worked at the Academy of Applied Arts and Crafts in Budapest. I thought that was a fun place that exists. The Academy of Applied Arts and Crafts. What a fun place. Now it's just the University of Art and Design. So I think they just didn't have the name didn't translate super great back then. Now it's the arts and design. Back then, arts and crafts. I was like, what are you guys just fucking making paper airplanes and lanyards all day? That's amazing. It's a university.
Popsicle stick houses or what?
He was an instructor there, and he built a cube that moved around. Obviously would go on to become Rubik's Cube. That he made is this thing that would move around. He built it so you could move the parts independently of each other without the entire mechanism falling apart. That's why he built this. He just wanted to try to solve that design problem of how do I spin these pieces around this other thing and twist them and do all this stuff. That's all he wanted. He wasn't like trying to invent anything really. He just did that. And the stickers were on there to like show him what side was where. And then he was fucking with it, and then he scrambled it up, and then he just went to try to put it back together, and it took him a month to put it back into place properly, and that's when he realized he had created a puzzle on accident.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, so he filed a patent in 1975. It started selling in Budapest. Budapest is how you're supposed to say it. I feel like that sounds stupid to say Budapest because no one says that, but in the back of my head, I know that's wrong. So, or to say Budapest is like incorrect. So I'm like,
I didn't even know that.
I always want to correct myself to say Budapest, and I'm like, that's gonna sound stupid. Just say Budapest. You sound like an asshole. So I do say Budapest. But,
croissant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, totally. Have you seen the video of that guy doing all that? He's like tapas and gazpacho. Yeah, tapas and gazpacho. Anyway. This was sold in toy stores in Budapest in 1977 under the name Magic Cube. It was then renamed Rubik's Cube to give it a more like strong identity, which I think is funny. Like Rubik is a weird name. It doesn't like translate to anything, especially in any like English speaking countries. I think Magic Cube was both a stronger name, like on paper and right away you'd think that would be a better name, but it's instantly less identifiable. It's way more generic sounding. A Magic Cube compared to Rubik's Cube.
I think that it's like it makes it not seem like a puzzle.
Magic Cube.
I feel like it's more of a something you play with, like a game.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like, yeah, it really is.
Yeah, that's just what it comes off as me, and then you to me as because then you get it, and then you're like, this thing kind of fucking sucks, actually. Like,
Yeah, it
what
doesn't
is
do
this? This
anything.
isn't magic at all.
You're
But if
right.
you
Yeah, you're right.
like I said, it doesn't. It sounds like something you play with, but this makes it sound, maybe because I know it as Rubik's cube, but it actually makes it sound more like a puzzle
Well,
because
it
it's
definitely
like,
sounds more intriguing, at least. What the fuck, Rubik's cube? What is
yeah, who's
this?
Rubik's? It's
Yeah,
like Rubik's cube.
yeah. It's interesting
See
too
if
that
you can solve it.
that's something that we, I think, tend to think of it as a Rubik's cube, but it is Rubik the man. It's his cube, so it's Rubik's
Yes.
cube. So it's not a Rubik's cube,
Mm-hmm.
technically speaking. I'm playing with one of Rubik's cubes. One of his cubes, yes.
Better than playing with one of his spheres.
It was renamed to Rubik's Cube and debuted in London, New York, Nuremberg, and Paris toy fairs in 1980. It would go on to win the German Game of the Year this year, as well as some similar honors in UK, France, and USA, taking a bunch of Toy of the Year honors in 1980. So another thing, just like Pac-Man, came out right away, and internationally speaking, came out right away and did some numbers. Also, much like the Post-it note, they kind of did some quiet testing in 77, fully launched in 80. To great fanfare. All these things really came out and fucking took hold. And people loved
Yeah.
the Rubik's Cube became insanely popular. Around 200 million of these things were sold between the years of 1980 and 1983. A speed cubing event was set up by the Guinness Book of World Records in March of 1981. So very
Damn.
quickly after this, they're like, people already have figured this thing out so well that the Guinness Book of World Records is like, we better keep track of how fast people can do this shit. At one point in 1981, 3 of the top 10 books were about solving the Rubik's Cube. And the best seller of the entire year, 1981, was the book The Simple Solution to Rubik's Cube.
Damn.
Mm-hmm. Also, it's funny to read it like that. The Simple Solution to Rubik's Cube. You're like, yeah, it's his cube. Yeah. It's not. It's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. These aren't a bunch of Reese's.
They're not yours. Yeah, even though you bought them.
I'm eating peanut butter cups that are made by Reese. That's what this is. This is a cube by Rubik. And there was the TV show, a cartoon based on the toy called Rubik the Amazing Cube that came out in 1983. So this thing was just all over the place in the 80s.
Damn.
Yeah, wildly popular. Huge deal.
Do you know how to do one of those?
No, man. I had one when I was in my teens and like I fucked around with it for a little bit and I was like, I'm not going to sit here and frustrate myself by becoming all consumed with this. So I put it down pretty quickly.
Yeah, I never bothered to actually try. Once somebody told me that it was like an algorithm you had to learn, I was like, nope, don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things like counting cards or something where it's like, it's actually fairly simple. And then it's just, nope. I'm not good at math stuff. It's just something that my brain doesn't calculate the spatial things like that. Yeah, I'm just not. I know I'm not going to do it. And I think even at that age, it's like, I just know that about myself. I'm not really able to just go, oh, wait, this makes sense to me. I'm just like,
yeah.
I could get like a couple sides and then that was it. And then once I got a couple, I got 2 or 3 sides done. I was like, that's the thing as far as I go. Because then I found out that's not how you're supposed to do this. You don't need to, you're not going one by one. You have to be doing all of them at once. I was like, nah, I'm not that good at chess. This is one of those things that just my brain doesn't think like that in spatial stuff. So,
yeah.
You know who has to be good at thinking in spatial ways, have good spatial reasoning skills as athletes.
That is true. Especially world-class athletes like the ones we're about to talk about. Some of the sports champions this year, 1980, World Series champions were the Philadelphia Phillies. The Super Bowl champions were the Pittsburgh Steelers. The NBA champions were the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Stanley Cup champions were the New York Islanders. So America won this Stanley Cup.
Oh yeah, that's Islanders is one that I'm like, that's one of those names I don't really recognize. New York Rangers.
They're still around.
It's like isn't that their normal? That's their team, right? That's another team of theirs, I think.
What is it? What'd you say?
The Rangers.
Yes.
So they have 2 hockey teams.
The Islanders. Yeah, I don't know if they're still the Islanders.
Yeah, there's the New York Rangers, Islanders, and then the Buffalo Sabres. That
I
one,
didn't
never in a million years. You could have been like, could have handed me a list of 5 made up teams. That would have been off the list pretty quick. They'd be like, one of these is real. I'd be like, Buffalo Sabres, not that one. I know that for sure. Like, all right, what else is on here? The Wisconsin Trout Face. That might be right. The Trout Faces. I think that's real.
So, speaking of hockey, the Winter Olympics happened this year,
Mm-hmm.
and America would be the USSR in Olympic hockey, and it became known as the Miracle on Ice. Basically, just like an underdog story. Americans weren't supposed to be good at hockey, and the USSR had a renowned hockey team leading
Yeah.
up to this.
Yeah,
They
they
came
were.
up against all odds, and they beat the USSR. And I guess the whole place started chanting, "Do you believe in miracles?"
Oh,
Which is why it became the Miracle on Ice.
seems like a hard thing to chant.
I don't know. There's something.
Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe in miracles? What are we chanting? I'm not sure. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do. What? That's funny. But the Soviets were the 4-time defending Olympic champions. They had won 5 of the last 6 Olympics, which is forever in terms of Olympics. That's like not every year. That's every 4 years you're winning. So they've won as far as time can remember, essentially, at this point. They hadn't lost a game at the Olympics since 1968. At this point in 1980. The Olympic rules barred pro athletes from competing on teams. And the way the Soviets got away around this was by employing professional hockey players as military advisors or in positions at universities. So that way they could be off of the professional roster and be able to be eligible for Olympic play, which most other countries complained about. But the Olympic Committee did not change those rules for a couple of years. The U.S. team was a bunch of amateurs with only 4 players having played priorly in the minor leagues. They were the youngest team in the tournament, as well as the youngest in U.S. Olympics history, with an average age of 21 years old only.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, leading up to it, the Soviets had beat the NHL, a couple NHL teams in exhibition matches, like prior to this. So everyone just assumed that the U.S. was going to lose. It was pretty much what a foregone conclusion that people thought they were going to lose. In the game, it was 2-2 in the first period, then 1-0 for the Soviets in the second period. So they're up 1 goal now. It's 3-2. The Soviets ahead, and then in the final period, the U.S. would score 2 additional goals, and the Soviets would score none. So the U.S. ends up winning by 1 goal. So really, like down to the wire, fucking, they're ahead at the end of the second period. Really crazy. Everyone's freaking out. And the big thing the reason why it was called that, the Miracle on Ice, was Al Michaels was calling the game, and he's like, "Do you believe in miracles?" He was screaming it as they were winning the game.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Probably was what it is. Yeah. So yeah, he was yelling on the commentary, "Do you believe in miracles? Do you believe in miracles?" That's why it was called the Miracle on Ice, because I mean it was exciting. The whole world was freaking out. Like, damn, this is not just. I mean, it represented the Cold War. It represented something that was like oppressive Russia versus the U.S. just trying to be, the underdog saviors of the Iron Curtain and all that kind of shit. So
Yeah. They made a movie out of it too called Miracle.
yeah, that movie's really good. I haven't seen it in a while, but
yeah, it is a really good movie.
With Coach Herb Brooks, played by Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
That was in Lake Placid, New York. The Olympic Games were held this year, and this was a huge Soviet versus U.S. conflict going on in the Olympics. In the Winter Olympics this year, also, this was still the time when they would hold both the Winter and Summer Olympics on the same year. So we also had the Summer Olympics occur. They were held in Moscow on July 19th.
The U.S. declared a boycott due to the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan that happened this few months prior.
Yeah, that was in December 25th of 1979, Soviets began invading Afghanistan, which led to President Carter leading a boycott of the Soviet games because they're basically a Soviet dissident was this physicist named Andrei Sakharov. He proposed the idea. So he said that based on all the stuff that they're doing, it's not right for other countries to go and sanction the Soviets' behavior by attending the games. President Carter agreed, and he kind of was the one who championed this and led a bunch of nations in leading a boycott against the Summer Olympics being held in Moscow. Carter proposed the idea of moving the games to Greece. I think is like a pretty happy medium for all involved. Like, hey, let's go back to the fucking place where it started. But the Olympic Committee rejected the idea and said, no, it's staying in Moscow. So 16 athletes from boycotting countries were permitted to fly the Olympic flag as opposed to flying their own country's flag. So some people still did show up that were from countries that didn't go. Because
you train your whole life for this. And you're
Yeah.
going to let some politician tell you don't do it for moral reasons. It's like I've trained for 8 years and I'm 20 years old.
Yeah.
Like most of my life has been training for this, and you're going to tell me not to go?
Right. Yeah, it was devastating for many athletes. I mean, the U.S. didn't send anybody. That wasn't, we weren't involved in that. Some other countries did end up sending people, but still technically boycotted. The end of the ceremonies, there was this thing where they would hand off the flag and fly the flag of the next country who was going to be holding the games. As the next summer games were going to be held in Los Angeles, which I thought was weird that it was like Salt Lake or Lake Placid for the winter games this time around. Then the next time it's going to be the summer games in the U.S. Like, damn, why do we get the games so often? Aren't there other countries involved in this shit? Why are they always here? But so anyway, the next place was going to be the U.S. again. Because we were boycotting the Olympics, Carter said, don't fly our flag in this ceremony. So they found a loophole, and the Olympic Committee spoke to the mayor of L.A. because there was some like wording difference that they could do because it was going to be held in that city. He was allowed to fly the L.A. flag there as opposed to the U.S. flag. So it's like this crazy, thing that affected so much of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Now, all that being said, an interesting thing that I did not know about at all was that to compensate for a lot of these athletes who were not going from the U.S., as well as a lot of other countries who weren't able to send athletes to the Olympic Games, on July 16th, the U.S. would hold what was called the Liberty Bell Classic. Now, Congress had approved $10 million in funding to hold some sort of alternative to the Olympic Games this year. So we cooked up our own little funny small Olympics.
Like a track meet?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, the Liberty Bell Classic is what it was called. International thing. So it did have athletes from 29 countries showed up. So it wasn't just people here. I thought it was kind of like an exhibition thing here, but no, it was a full on, like it was little mini Olympics that we tried to get going. Little our opposing Olympics. Kind of our like Turning Point USA halftime show. What was going on was this.
Oh man, they've been doing it for years. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, America style over here. The International Amateur Athletic Federation prohibited any track and field stuff taking place at the same time as the Olympics. So that's why it was held a couple days prior. And the U.S. would take home 15 gold, 10 silver, and 12 bronze medals at our own Olympics, which we usually end up winning a lot. So I was like, I know we were always in first place. But the next winning country, the most winningest next country on there was Ethiopia, who you don't normally see at the top of the leaderboards at the Olympics, the real ones. They had took home 4 gold, 5 silver, and 3 bronze compared to our 15, 10, and 12. So
dang.
Pretty lopsided in our favor. And other countries that you would have seen typically they weren't up high. Like there were a lot of people, 26 countries showed up, or 29 countries.
That's a lot, actually.
Yeah. There were people that you'd be like, oh, so I guess there probably were a lot of people who weren't there. Like, no, there was like Japan and Italy and German. I don't know. There were a bunch of people up there that did boycott, that were at these Olympics. I don't know. The athletes, I think they were like, fuck it. I'm not flying to America to do some bullshit fake Olympics.
Yeah.
No, my dream's already crushed. Thank you. I'm just gonna go ahead and not do this shit. So there you go. That's it for the Olympics. Do you have any other sports stuff?
Yeah, I got one fun one. On November 8th in West Virginia, base jumping began.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, I guess successfully. I'm sure people have tried before. But it was at the New River Gorge Bridge, which was recently constructed, and it was 876 feet tall.
Damn.
And that's when they started thinking, you know what? I bet if I jumped off this, my parachute would deploy.
That's so insane. It's crazy. That was like a fad too. One of those things that sort of has disappeared a little bit. If you're younger, you don't remember. There was a period of time where dudes would just run up on top of buildings and jump off.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't really see it anymore. Now you see people climbing buildings like freehand and just hanging off the side of them. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
troubling. That's way worse than people just jumping off with a parachute. But it was pretty
Yeah.
common that would happen in big cities. Like not like it was
Nitro
every
Circus
day.
style.
Yeah. Not that common. But yeah, you would just see videos of that there would just be some dude jumping off of some crazy shit. 1980 was the first one though. I've seen a video I remember of watching some guys because they explained what base jumping stands for. That it's an acronym.
I didn't see that. Let me see.
Care to guess what it
I
is? I was gonna say, could you guess? It stands for the 4 things that you would jump off of in the sport.
Bridge, an airplane, a skyscraper, and a...
The E is the one I don't remember, but bridge is the only one you got right. The other ones you wouldn't guess because it's stupid. It's weird. It's bridge, antenna, satellite, and then I can't remember what E is.
Why would you jump off a satellite?
Yeah, I don't exactly. I'm like, does it mean that?
Skyscraper makes way more sense than satellite.
Yeah, I don't know. This is just a video I remember watching a long time ago. I could be wrong. Let me see if that's right. Here it is. Okay, it's building, antenna, span, and earth.
Jump off the earth?
So antenna,
like a cliff?
Yeah. Span is bridges. So building and is the B. So I was off. Okay. Building.
Either way,
antenna,
so I got all of them wrong.
Well, yeah, I guess. So I did too. I got them all wrong too. No, but I got antenna right. That was the only one I got right. Because antenna and satellite basically were doing the same thing in my mind. Where I was like, what the fuck does that mean? I guess satellite made more sense to me than antenna. I'm like, antenna? They're jumping off antennas?
I mean, it makes sense if you have like giant radio towers.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, anyway, so that's what it stands for. It stands for building, antenna, span, and earth. Long ago, the 4 nations lived in harmony. Okay, that's from a cartoon.
That's all I got for sports.
What I said was from a cartoon. Cartoons show up on TV. So let's mosey on over to the television. On TV in the year 1980, the number 1 program in the beginning of the year for the first half, whatever, blah, blah, blah. We talk about how the ratings come in towards September, what have you. It is 60 Minutes drops from number 1 to number 3. And Dallas would go from number 6 all the way up to number 1.
Yeah.
Three's Company would drop from number 2 down to number 8, basically trading places with Dukes of Hazzard, which would go from number 9 to number 2. So you had 2 shows shoot up a lot of spaces. And then 2 other ones kind of go down a decent amount too. Yeah, Dallas from 1 to 3 and Three's Company from 2 to 8. I don't know why that dropped off so hard. But I will tell you the reason why Dallas shot up from 6 to 1. That was due to the Who Shot JR marketing deal. Have you ever heard that phrase? Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, it's like a cliffhanger thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. They would parody this on The Simpsons with Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was so. I mean, this was a thing that was all over everywhere back then. It was hugely culturally significant to the U.S. for a time. There was the show Dallas had J.R. Ewing as the main villain for this. It's a soap opera, and he was the guy. He was always fucking over everybody. So everybody hated this guy on the show. Huge motive to find out who would have wanted to kill him. He gets shot in a murder attempt at the finale of season 3, which aired on March 21st. You didn't find out who actually shot him until the season 4, episode 4.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that would come out on 11/21. So the
So they made
shooting,
people watch 3 episodes and
yes,
in anticipation still.
right. The shooting happened 3/21. You don't find out who did it till 11/21.
Damn.
Yeah, 8 months of having to wait, and they're asking everybody who shot JR, and they're like, we don't fucking know. Everyone's really excited to find out. There were all sorts of like parody songs that came out of people referencing this. There were T-shirts that were sold that say "Who shot JR" or "I shot JR." There were like betting parlors all over the U.S. that were taking odds on who shot JR. The people were like making actual wagers on this shit. During the break between seasons, the actor for JR, he was like negotiating his contract because he found out this shit's popping off. So he was like, I think I want more money. And they're like, all right, well, we'll say you got reconstructive surgery because it's a soap opera. So like they were fighting with each other back and forth before it came out. But he ended up getting a lot more money to come back and keep playing the character. Like, hell yeah, of course you did. Good for him. It's then after the contract's all good, they're ready to go. There's a Writers Guild strike that then postpones the show for another 2 months to come out. So that's part of the reason why people had to wait so damn long for this thing to come out. Because like they're all ready to get back into it and start going. There's a strike that makes it take 2 additional months for production. Damn. Yeah, terrible, but good for them.
yeah. The anticipation's building.
Yeah, and it wasn't like nowadays we're just like, all right, fuck it. Everyone's like, we're gonna watch something else. Everyone was just foaming at the mouth, like, who the hell shot him? It was, and just spoiler alert. I'll tell everybody. It was actually because I'll wait first. I won't. I'll be like the showrunner and and the actor here because they refused to tell people back in 1980. Showrunner Leonard Katzman was asked by Gerald Ford directly. He asked him who shot JR, and he wouldn't tell him.
Dang.
And then Larry Hagman, the guy who played JR, he was asked by the Queen Mother also directly, and he said, "I'm sorry, but I will." He said, "Even for you, I can't tell you."
Yeah, two most powerful people in the world, right there.
Yeah, and then somebody finally asked Larry at like a press thing. They said, "We'll give you $100,000 if you tell us who told him." And he said, "We don't know." He was like, "Nobody knows except for the creator. Like, none of us know. None of the actors know." So they offered him $100,000 to do it. I was like, apparently that would have worked if he had known. Who knows? He might have been faking that too. But now I'll let everybody know here with bated breath. Everyone's been waiting. You've been waiting for all of 4 minutes now. It was his sister-in-law, Kristen Shepard.
Oh, I knew it.
They had an affair. She carried his illegitimate child. He did survive, by the way. So you found out he survived the season 4 opener. You're like, oh, he survived. Cool. Okay, who shot him? No, we don't know. They made you wait around for 3 more episodes.
Damn.
Smart. That's crazy. Really wild. And the reason why Dukes of Hazzard jumped up from number 9 to number 2, going on to be like a huge show for the 80s, was because it preceded Dallas on Friday nights.
So everyone's kept stuck around.
They're all like, I can't miss a second of Dallas.
Damn.
Yeah.
I miss those days waiting for shows to come out.
Yeah.
And if you missed them, you missed them. You had to wait for like a rerun or something.
Exactly.
A week or something.
Like they're like, you like turn on the TV. We got to watch Dallas. And it's like, Marty, Dallas doesn't come on for 30 more minutes. It's the Dukes of Hazzard. It's like, we don't know if those chowderheads down at the station are going to put them on the right time. What did they put on Dukes of Hazzard 5 minutes early? I'm not missing who shot JR.
Man.
We got just a few debuts of 1980. But a couple that were pretty huge for the decade. Magnum P.I. came out, would go on to be a giant show. Put Tom Selleck on the map for the 80s. I guess he didn't really go on to be like, not like he's that popular now, but he was for a time. You also had Bosom Buddies, which is an interesting show. Have you ever heard of that one? It started Tom Hanks' career.
Oh, I have. Yes, I have seen this show. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've never watched. Saw it in my travels of 1980.
Okay, yeah. He's dressed as a lady.
Yeah.
It's him and his roommate. They want to live in this apartment building that's cheaper, but it's only rents to women, so they have to pretend to be ladies. It's a Some Like It Hot kind of scenario. And I mean, launched Tom Hanks' career. So one of those, him and Bruce Willis. There's a couple of those people. Leonardo DiCaprio. There are people out there that you go, oh, I forgot they started on a sitcom. Jason Bateman.
Mm-hmm.
There, you also had Fridays, which was ABC's version of Saturday Night Live.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of a short-lived thing. It was just interesting that they were competing. It wasn't just Mad TV wasn't the only like competition they had. Fridays was kind of a thing earlier on in their run. Carlin had hosted the first SNL in 1975, and he was the first Fridays guest host. That was in their second season in 1981 was when they started guest host. But I thought that was an interesting parallel that Carlin was the first host of both of these programs.
That's pretty cool.
It only lasted 3 seasons, so it didn't go toe to toe with SNL as they were hoping it would, but it was, it was an interesting time.
On June 1st, CNN launches, and they're the first 24/7 news cycle.
Yeah, that's crazy that was like the first time. Yeah, I mean, that's how the world worked. Now, again, we've talked before about how the news media situation is a lot different now with the internet being around.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's way different. But yeah, back in the day, you just could turn on the news at 3 a.m. and that was new. That was interesting. That was a different thing.
But now there's so many of them doing this that it's just like there's only so much going on in the world that you have 7 24 hours news cycles, stations going on all the time. It's just too much.
Yeah,
especially if you can get news from your phone and stuff. I don't want to sit down and watch news at 3:00 in the morning or whatever,
Yeah. No, and it's just interesting that now it's just you wake up and you go, oh man, I can't believe they did this crazy thing in Ukraine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And before, it's just the way the information was less plentiful. So you being told what was going on in the world was like, oh my God, this is breaking news. It's more interesting, held more weight than it does now, where you can be spoon fed the country you're interested in. Here's the news of England today, if you wanted to.
Yep.
It's weird.
It's true. Carl Sagan's Cosmos premieres.
Oh yeah, I've never seen that. Have you?
I've seen clips of it through my scrolls of the internet.
It's one of those things that people, when we were younger especially, it used to be something people would be like, it's cool to fucking smoke weed and watch Cosmos, but I never did it. Never have seen it.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen a lot of different clips where he talks about like dimensions and like higher planes and
he was like the prior generation's Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
Because he did a version of it later. Neil deGrasse. He would go on to do Cosmos sometime in the last 10 years. I've never seen that one either.
And then I watched Heathcliff, which is like the cartoon cat.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen it in passing growing up because it did like jog some memories. I feel like I've seen it before.
He's a popular cartoon cat. He's one of those guys. I guess, he's sort of third tier. You got like Garfield and you got Felix. And then way down, you got Heathcliff is kind of like near the bottom of the barrel. He's below like Top Cat even maybe, but it's just one of those cats. That's he's an orange cat. He's a hard Garfield ripoff because he's also orange, and then he also does things that Top Cat does. So he doesn't really have much of an identity, but he's pretty popular. His comic strip was around in 1973, but this was the first time he'd be a cartoon character, and this one only lasted 26 episodes. Before being canceled. But then in 1984, there was a new version of Heathcliff and the Cadillac Cats, and that show had 86 episodes. So that was a pretty big thing.
Okay.
And that was
bigger.
Yeah, that one was kind of well known throughout the 80s. People knew who Heathcliff was, but this was the first iteration of him. And
maybe that's what I watched.
Oh, the second thing?
Yeah, maybe I watched it in reruns growing up.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it probably just popped up. But like I said, it was a decently known thing. I knew about Heathcliff as a kid. I liked him. I mean, I preferred Felix myself or Garfield. Pretty much any Top Cat, any of the other feline cartoons were better than him. But if he was around, fuck it, I'll take Heathcliff. Like, what is he, orange? That's his thing? That's already Garfield's thing. What the fuck? What do you do? The way it was packaged, because back then, we've spoken before about the funny, like, other cartoon that would come along with your cartoon, because they make 11 minutes of Heathcliff every week. And then the other 11 minutes, what are we going to do with that? Well, initially, the cartoon it was paired with was called Dingbat. So it was like Heathcliff and Dingbat was what the show was called initially. That show was Dingbat and the Creeps. was like the
Okay.
actual thing. And so I watched some of that one. I had never seen that. I'd seen Heathcliff before, so I found Dingbat and the Creeps and watched an episode of that. And
Oh, that's cool.
it's like Dingbat is a dog who's a vampire and he wears a cape. And then the Creeps were a little pumpkin, like a jack o' lantern, not a man, just the pumpkin on the ground. He really couldn't do much. And then there was a skeleton who was like chubby, but also a skeleton. He like had suspenders on that really indicated he was fat, but he also has bones. And then he could change his shape into like a boat on the episode I watched. Weirdly, the episode that I watched was them at the beach, which is like the same for some reason. Anytime I watch one of these obscure cartoons from back then, I keep finding beach themed episodes because that same thing happened on one that I watched for a different cartoon. Now I can't remember what it was. I just remember at one point being like, yeah, they were on the beach and some shit happened. Like, Captain Caveman. That's what it was. I watched Captain Caveman. That was a beach themed episode. This was kind of the same thing. It was the same exact storyline essentially, which is like these guys shouldn't be at the beach. Look at them go. So, yeah, I didn't love it, but I watched it. It was fun concept to me. The fun like weird Halloween characters I thought was kind of interesting.
That's cool. One thing I thought was cool about Heathcliff was they gave you like advice on your animals and like how to take care of them. Like the episode I watched was like, check with the store owner before you add your fish to the same tank and see if they're compatible.
That's
and like
cool.
one of the fish was like angry and like
was that
trying to get the other fish through the tank.
That's cool. Was that in the episode or was that like a little interstitial?
No,
like
it was like at the end, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, or maybe like in between
yeah, okay. Because the one that the thing I watched was from a later version of the show. It was on Plastic Man and something, but it was an episode from 1980, the Dingbat, but it was from a 1984 airing of it where it was like part of some larger cartoon compilation show, which is Plastic Man hosted. He's a DC Comics character, and he in the little bumper at the end of it, he got on and told people, like Plastic Man's smart shopping tips. And he was like, these people went to like buy a vacation and then it was this such and such amount of money. And he's like, you should try shopping around. And he takes them to a different place. He's like, see, it's cheaper here. And he looks at the camera. He's like, remember, folks, try different stores. You might find what you're looking for cheaper. That was like his advice. So it's funny that like they just were fucking trying everything they could. Like they're like, we've done Don't Take Candy from Strangers. Like Heathcliff's handling pet tips. What was Plastic Man gonna do? I don't know. Fucking smart shopping tips.
Yeah, recycling wasn't a thing then. I don't think.
Yeah. Remember to count your change. Some people will forget to
shortchange you. All right, moving on to the music. We break down the top 5 Billboard charts, and Trey makes a compilation of music from the top 100 and from things that did not hit the top 100 that came out for this year. You could find the link to that on our Instagram and follow along. Check out all the music that we put out on there, and some of it I've never heard before, especially with the older years. But we'll kick it off at number 5. Is Do That to Me One More Time by Captain and Tennille. Released in October of 1979, written by Tony Tennille. The song was number 1 for 1 week, but it was number 2 for 4 consecutive weeks, so it had a little bit of staying power. It was behind Michael Jackson's Rock With You, and then it was knocked out of the number 1 spot by Queen's Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
A couple big ass songs kept it out of the spotlight.
Yeah. Battling hard for, battling against hard songs, I should say.
It was battling against a lot of good music, and it was like, we want to fuck this shit up. Stop being popular. We want to be bad and popular. Boring.
Yeah, so it was a boring song, especially out of all the music that was coming out this year.
Yeah, it was sort of out of place. It felt. This was what I expected to see a lot more of. Cheesy 80s songs, late 70s, easy listening stuff, Holding On. I was kind of surprised that it wasn't more of this. So I was glad this was the only one that was this schmaltzy, boring shit.
Yeah, it was. It features a lyric-on solo by saxophonist Tom Scott. They put that in there. It had to be like unique. Not a lot of people using these right now, I guess.
No, I don't.
They are unique instruments to begin with.
It's like a digital horn is what it was. I looked into it a little bit. Did you look into this guy at all?
No, but I looked at the instrument.
So this guy Tom Scott was there wasn't a whole lot about the song. Do you have anything else about the song before I jump into this little thing?
I just have that they had a hit a few years prior, and this was their like comeback song. They only really had one. They had just got picked up by a new record company.
Yeah.
Tony Tennille played the song for her manager, Neil Bogart, at her house with her husband, Daryl Dragon, which is a super cool name.
Right. It's so funny. At first, I thought that's crazy that his name's Daryl Dragon and he goes up by the Captain. Daryl Dragon's a sick ass name, but Captain is just way like it's like the Magic Cube. Daryl Dragon's too stupid of a name. Like, oh, he's a musician named Daryl Dragon. Cool.
Yeah.
But you got the Captain. What the fuck? I gotta sit down and watch this guy. This is what's about to happen.
So they were at their house in the Pacific Palisades in California, and then she played it for them on an electric piano. And they were super excited about it. Bogart said, "This is it. This is no doubt in my mind going to be your first single." And it would be the pretty much the last
Success of theirs.
successful song that they ever had.
Yeah. This was their second number one after Love Will Keep Us Together, which I recognize that song. I never heard this one, I don't think.
I don't think I ever did either, no.
Love Will Keep Us Together, I know that song. We'll talk about that later, so I don't want to get too heavy into that. But I just know that one, this one is more successful. It's bigger on Spotify, for sure. I don't know for sure what the numbers were back then, but nowadays, this is the more remembered song, even though it's like, I know Love Will Keep Us Together immediately. This one I did not know. I was curious to know because I found out Tennille does a lot of the heavy lifting. She wrote the song, she plays the electric piano, and she sings on the song. What the fuck does Daryl Dragon do? Well, he plays the synthesizer. So that's kind of his role in the band, I guess. Now, the Lyricon that you mentioned, it was played by Tom Scott. Now, this guy I was curious about because there wasn't a ton of information about this song, so I wanted to look more into him. He was one of the founding members of the band, the Blues Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Like the actual...
They came out this year.
The movie did. I mean, they'd been around because they were on SNL prior to this. And I guess it was the band, a real band that they just played together in or something like that. This guy, though, is not in the movie that would come out this year because they were having like a salary dispute. They had a tour in early 1980. And then after the tour, he left because of the salary dispute he was having with the guys. Then they would go on to do a movie that he wasn't involved in. It's like, that's actually left at the wrong time, dude. So he's not involved in the movie, but he's like a pretty prolific player across the 80s, especially. This year he was on Blondie's song Rapture, which we'll talk about in a little bit. He also composed the theme for the movie Stir Crazy, which came out this year. Previous to this, he had done the theme to Starsky and Hutch, the TV show, as well as The 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, which we've talked about before, and then the movie Taxi Driver. Also on Rod Stewart's Do You Think I'm Sexy, he plays horns. After this, he would go on to do Billie Jean, the horn solo, as well as the theme to the show Family Ties. And then his song from 1967 called Today is the basis of the sample from the song by Pete Rock and CL Smooth, Troy, the hip hop song, They Reminisce Over You from 1992. It's a really sick song. So this guy's just kind of cool. Like his music's been used a lot, basically throughout time. He's sort of an unsung guy behind the scenes, just sort of tooting his horn all over the place.
Doing more research on all this, you find people like that who are like the real backbone of these record producing companies or like studio like musicians who are just like a staple and that are in everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you need a funny horn on this? Let's call Tom Scott. Tom, get in here. Can you play a Lyricon?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know. I can fucking figure it out.
They're like, can you play the saxophone? He's like, I got this Lyricon. And they're like, I guess.
Okay, number 4 here, we got Rock With You by Michael Jackson, the aforementioned song. This came out November 3rd of 1979. It spent 4 weeks at the top of the charts. It was written by Rod Temperton, produced by Quincy Jones. It was first performed by Michael Jackson on the tour by the Jacksons called the Destiny World Tour. So he was actually like performing this with them. I was like, oh, I had to like look into the timing of everything. This was like his 5th solo album, but he would continue on with the Jacksons, as they were known at this point, the Jackson 5, until 1984. So he had like a substantial amount of his solo career at the same time as he was still technically in the Jacksons and touring with them and stuff. I wasn't aware of that.
I didn't know that either. That's cool.
Yeah, basically all of them all started solo careers in the early 80s while maintaining the band going on too. I don't think the band would continue to be doing that great, but they still had some hits throughout the early 80s, so they were like, they were a known entity, so it was worth keeping that around and then seeing how everyone did on their own, but nobody really struck out as well as Michael did, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is him. He's solo, but he's also got a band to fall back on if this doesn't work out. And so that's where he's touring it. I was surprised to find out. The song, though, this one was actually first offered to Karen Carpenter of the band The Carpenters when she was doing a solo album. It ended up being her only solo album. So that was just something I ended up kind of looking into because I thought this does not seem like a Carpenter song to me at all. So I had to do some research about that. The fact is that they're a brother and sister band. That neither one of them was doing too hot at this point in 1980. They're both kind of like she's struggling with anorexia, and he's got a Quaalude disorder. So he decided finally in 1980 he's got to like put the band on hiatus and get treatment. She was still trying to keep playing and wanted to make another album, so she starts doing a solo album full of kind of contemporary pop hits or pop music, trying to go that route. And her album, after she recorded all this stuff, so like this song was going to be on the album, she declined this one, but the rest of it kind of fit in with that style, I guess. And when the album was finally finished, her label called it like A&M. They called it like unreleasable by Herb Albert. He was the owner of A&M Records. He said, "This is."
I want to listen to that.
He said, "This is not good." And she was pretty heartbroken by that. She worked really hard on it. She was like proud of what they had done, and so that didn't help with her conditions and everything. I'm not saying that was like the reason why, but she ended up passing away pretty shortly after this. A couple of years later, she would succumb to, basically her eating disorder really helped her along to death, I guess. I don't know how else to put that. Her eating disorder really, did a toll on her, essentially. She passed away pretty shortly after this. But yeah, she was just struggling, and she was pretty upset about this album not coming out. But yeah, you can actually find it now. So the album did come out after she passed away many years later. Once that album, I Wish I Was a Carpenter, came out, that has a bunch of like covers of them, of like bands like Sonic Youth is the famous one. They do Superstar, and that one came out in the mid 90s. So when that album came out, there was a renewed interest in the Carpenters' work. So they released this album by Karen Carpenter in 1996.
Oh, okay.
So you can find it. It's available. It's kind of disco tinged. It's not bad. I mean, it's okay. It's not terrible. It's not like great either, but
this song was featured in a couple of things that I wanted to point out that I found. It was part of the soundtrack for a video game called Michael Jackson: The Experience. It was released in 2010, and it was a harken back to his moonwalk phase, is what it says.
Okay.
And
did you see any of this game?
This was from a 1989 Michael Jackson arcade cabinet called Moonwalker.
Yeah, okay, I've seen that game.
But I had no idea Michael Jackson had so many games made after him.
I don't know what this 2000s one is, or if it's like a remaster of the original one or what. But yeah, the Moonwalker video game is a funny little piece of video game history.
Oh, I'm looking up the Michael Jackson Experience. It was on Wii and Nintendo DS. Yeah, I'm sure it is like that because it's just like you're just dancing.
Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna look at some images real fast. Oh no, yeah, this is not at all the same. So yeah, this is like some weird. I don't know what this is. If this is sort of a keep it in rhythm sort of game, sort of like Parappa the Rapper or Dance Dance or something like that. It seems like the original Moonwalker is a side-scrolling game where you're just like fighting. You're in a building and you're fighting thugs as Michael Jackson. You're like, shh, 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 you have your hat and do little tricks, and you you like attack people with your Michael Jackson moves. And yeah, so it's just a funny, weird game, but it's not like that. It's you just have Michael Jackson skin on a video game, essentially,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
any game could be whatever. You can just make it a turtle if you want. Now it's
Is
Ninja
that what
Turtles.
happened to his skin?
They had to use his nose to make the video game character. That's funny. This is a good song though. This one is very disco-y. People mention this
Yeah.
being one of the last disco hits, and I'm like, I don't know about that. We'll see more on this specific list. Like, there's fucking a lot of disco this year. So
There is a lot of disco this year. I was surprised, actually.
I would say I was surprised that this was the biggest one off of this album, because this "Rock with You" comes off of Michael Jackson's album "Off the Wall," and there is also, along with "Rock with You," it has "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough," and then the song "Off the Wall" also. But I feel like I knew "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" more than "Rock with You."
I feel like I hear them both not interchangeably, but just as much as the other.
Yeah, I could see that, I guess. Maybe it's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough" is so much more in my mind because of the movie Rush Hour. That's the one that Chris Tucker dances to. So that probably is what it is.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. All right, moving on to number 3. It's Magic by Olivia Newton-John. Released in May of 1980, written by Olivia Newton-John and John Farah. The song topped the Billboard charts for 4 weeks. It also went number 1 in Canada. And also topped the adult contemporary charts for 5 weeks. There wasn't a ton of information about this song.
No, there wasn't.
But it was written for the film Xanadu.
Right.
And she also starred in that movie, too.
Yes, yeah, that movie is interesting. It's a weird movie. Did you look into it at all?
I watched the trailer.
Okay.
It was pay money to rent, so I didn't. I was going to watch it, but I did not.
I was interested to watch it. I mean, it's one of those movies that I've heard of for years, but never dipped into. There's a historic thing that goes on with this movie. That the movie stars Olivia Newton-John as well as Gene Kelly in his final film role. This album that it comes from is like well regarded. It went double platinum, and obviously the song Magic is number 3 for the year end. But the movie itself, Xanadu, it currently sits at, I looked up the numbers, on Metacritic it's at 31%, and on Rotten Tomatoes it's a 33%. So it's a very disliked movie. Like, historically it's bad. There was, back in 1980, a double feature of Xanadu and the movie Don't Stop the Music were played at a drive-in. And this guy who used to be a trailer maker, John Wilson, went to this double feature, watched both these movies, and it inspired him to create the Golden Raspberries, otherwise known as the Razzies.
Oh, yeah.
This is the movie that inspired the awards to be given out for shitty movies. It was this movie and Don't Stop the Music. This movie itself was nominated for 6 Razzies in the first ever Golden Raspberry Awards.
They're probably so pissed off.
I know, right? Like, it's such a funny thing. Like, as time's gone on, it's like people work hard on this stuff. You really just like don't need to be dragging everyone through the mud because you didn't like a movie. This one was nominated for 6 Golden Raspberries and 1 for Worst Director. The other ones, people have criticized the choreography, the story, the acting, but people all like the music. That was like one thing that it's crazy that like this movie's like hated. People didn't. It wasn't just like, it wasn't that good. It was like people dislike this movie, but they love the soundtrack. It's so crazy to me. Can't Stop the Music did end up winning Worst Picture, so not this one didn't end up winning. Can't Stop the Music. I watched Can't Stop the Music this week because Xanadu wasn't streaming anywhere. Can't Stop the Music is like the Village People movie.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's about them. They play like fictionalized versions of themselves, and they're just like wearing their costumes from the Village People throughout the movie. Just like, this guy's a cop, I guess. Like, that's his like character's kind of like, I suppose he's a cop. I don't know. They kind of don't really like. Why at one point, actually, it was pretty interesting. At the time, this person was known as Bruce Jenner in the movie, and he's got this line where he says, "Why is that guy dressed up as an Indian?" And then she says, "Well, maybe that's just what he always dreamt of being." And he goes, well, I always dreamt of being a cowboy. You don't see me dressing up like it every day. And I thought that's a really crazy, like, premonition sort of deal for Bruce
Yeah.
Jenner to have had in a movie. And no one, like, why didn't that get blasted all the time back in 2000, whatever, 14? You know, you would
Yeah,
think that
that's
people would have
true.
been playing that clip a lot and been like, this is, he told us back in 1980, this is how he felt.
People are going to look that clip up now. Watch.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, go look that one up. It's pretty, yeah, like I said, it was sort of a little bit of a premonition on the filmmaker's part.
Right?
Just to finish off for Magic, there was a stage musical that was based on the movie Xanadu that came out in 2007. The writer of that musical, Douglas Carter Bean, he called the film "What Happens When You Let Straight Men Near the Musical? I Blame Cocaine."
That's
Sounds like
hilarious.
funny.
That's a great. I've never seen it, so I don't have a lot of context, but that's a great insult.
Yeah, I know, right? What happens when straight men make a musical? You're like, okay, I get it. I get what you're trying to say. I think I gotta watch this, but it makes sense. All right, let's move on to number 2. It is Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. Oh, excuse me. Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 by Pink Floyd. This came out November 23rd of 1979. This was actually their first UK single, and I'm worldwide, I'm guessing too, since 1968's Point Me at the Sky. So they just didn't do singles. So 11 years passed between the last time they had done a single and this song. Because,
Damn.
you know, they were just artists. They were like, we don't want to fucking, they were pretty not trying to put this out as a single as well. This was all the label. It was the number 1 song in the UK for 1979, Another Brick in the Wall. It won an Academy Award in Britain, like the British Academy Awards, for Best Original Song for being in the movie in 1982. Damn, that got some shelf life. They were able to, like,
Yeah.
the 1983 British Academy Awards is when that actually won. So I was like, they got to sit on 4 years. This song was out before it went to the British. I wonder if they were called Oscars there.
I don't know. They probably have
Pats.
a name for it.
It's Pat and Oscars.
Net.
They won they were nominated for a Grammy for Best Performance by a Rock Duo or Group. It was number 384 on Rolling Stone's 500 Greatest Songs of All Time. Another Brick in the Wall. It kind of surprised me that it's that low. We've talked about some songs that make it pretty high up on the list. Like, you'd think this would be one that was like maybe in the top 100 at least.
Well, what did you think about this song?
I mean, man, this was like what got me into Pink Floyd when I was a kid. I didn't really listen to them a ton. I just listened to this album. No, not really even this album. I guess I know this song, and then I had Dark Side of the Moon. And other than that, I've just never really tapped that deep into them. I listened to their first album back when they were like a psychedelic band in the 60s. But like, I guess when they did their first single, 1968, that album's really good. But other than that, I'm not a huge Pink Floyd person. But this song is, you know, what's interesting was when I was reading about it, that the producer, Bob Ezrin, he talked them into adding a bunch of disco elements to the song. And when I read that, I was like, oh, I didn't pick up on the fact, but this is like a disco song, like that driving beat and stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, it kind of is. Like, it's so weird to think of, but
yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, it totally is a disco song. And like Pink Floyd was like, all right, I guess we got, like, they had the guitarist go out and like visit discotheques and listen to what the musicians there were doing, so he could like try to put that into the music. And they weren't really feeling it too much. They like didn't really like the driving beat and shit. Like, the band themselves were not that with it, but they just let the producer kind of talk them into it. He also wanted the song originally, because you know it's 3 parts. Obviously, this is part 2. They're kind of just each like one verse, and then it just goes in. Like, the whole album is like a concept thing, so they flow from one to the next. He was like, we got to make this into more of like a song. So I want there to be 2 verses and 2 choruses. They were like, we're not really feeling it. So they just did the 1 and 1, and then he was like, I really think this could be a hit if we do this. And they're like, we're not interested in making hits. We don't do singles. And then he just kept pushing him, and so finally Roger Waters was like, you know what, if you want to waste your time doing this shit, go ahead. And so then he went out and he doubled both the chorus and the verse, and then he sent out his engineer to a local school to record a couple of kids. Like, he was like, go record like 2 or 3 kids. The engineer then went there and was like, what if we did a whole choir of kids? So he came up with the idea of making it this huge thing, And then the school was cool with it. They allowed him like I think they only got 40 minutes to record this. And it was 23 students. The kids, they received the album. They received tickets for a concert coming up, as well as a single. And then the school received £1,000. That was like the only compensation they received. But they didn't have any royalties worked out for the kids. Which is like, I mean, I don't know if the band was trying to dick them over or whatever, but like, yeah, are you going to sign up a bunch of kids for royalties?
I'd be stoked if I had Pink Floyd tickets.
Right, yeah. And
whatever,
you're on the album for all time. Like, that's got to be sick. They did, in 1996, became eligible for royalties for the song due to some UK copyright law that changed.
Okay.
And so this guy named Peter Rowan tracked down all of these 23 kids that were in the choir successfully and lodged a claim in 2004 for them to get their payment for this song. That's kind of cool. I don't know. And that was the end of it, which maybe based on all the history that we've looked at, it makes me think they probably never got the check, but the label found some way to be like, oh, actually, Pink Floyd's bankrupt or some shit, you know?
Yeah.
You owe them money.
And you'd have an original pressing of that album.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's got to be worth some money, too. This single and the album, Another Brick in the Wall, were like banned in South Africa because they were co-opted by protesters who were protesting against apartheid and like the schooling system and stuff like that.
So the song got directly influencing them.
Yeah. So they like that's kind of cool. We've seen that a couple times where people will like grab a song and be like, "This song represents our movement," and then the government's like, "You're not allowed to listen to that song anymore." The music video is super cool. I've never seen the movie actually.
I've never seen the movie either.
I just know the music video.
Yeah, I've seen the video before.
They're like jumping in the meat grinder and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It's like I mean, there was interesting. It was like they were. I guess this was Roger Waters like protesting against his own way he was schooled and stuff. Like they were like, I guess British schools are pretty intense.
It seems like an intense thing that you would like either have to go through or be directly a part of to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like a whole different thing than we have here.
Yeah.
And like it looks like the army, at least in terms of the movies and shit that you see.
Yeah, they're like, well, like wearing uniforms and stuff like that's very common for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, if I was in a school that made me wear a uniform, I would sing this every day I walk into class. We don't
like
need no education. It's even singing it now. I'm like, oh yeah, that bam, 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 bam. It's like, yeah, it's super disco-y. I never pieced that together. All right, let's move on to number one, which also is another song that's got some sneaky disco going on.
Yeah. Number one is Call Me by Blondie. It was the theme song to American Gigolo. I didn't watch it. I was so mad at myself.
I didn't either. I should have watched it too. Yeah, I ended up watching Can't Stop the Music instead.
It was released on February 1st, 1980. It was produced and composed by Italian musician Giorgio Moroder.
We talked about him a couple of times. he was like, yeah, he was big in like the theme songs for movies, and then also like 2010 or something like that. He came out with that album that was like 74 is the new 24. It was like that crazy pop album. Remember that? That was kind of cool.
I didn't put two and two together that it was this guy.
Yeah.
Giorgio Moroder. He composed the song and wrote it, and then sent it to Blondie and asked Debbie Harry to write music for it. Apparently, she said that she did it within a matter of hours. Who knows? I don't know if that's true, but that's pretty cool if she did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she just like got the vibe from the movie. That's like also something that's pretty common when you hear these theme songs that they're like, I didn't really know what was going on in the movie. I just sort of like got the vibe from it, and that was all it took.
Yeah, she nailed it.
Yeah, she did.
Call Me was number one for 6 consecutive weeks on the Billboard charts. It was their second number one after Heart of Glass. Oh, I did watch the Muppets episode that came out this year, the following year, of her singing this song with the Muppets.
That's cool. Were they like
It's awesome.
playing with her, or is it just
Yeah, they were
the whole
playing with her.
band?
She was like singing it live on the show.
That's dope. I saw that she did that. I meant to watch it and I didn't do it. Let me jump into this, I guess, because this is sort of Muppet adjacent. Just speaking of funny little creatures. One of the coolest things about this song is it actually like re-kickstarted the Chipmunks, Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like they're the reason why people our age and older, and like except like the original run of the 60s cartoons happened, then they kind of faded away. What happened was Ross Bagdasarian, Dave Seville is his stage name, remember him? He passed away in 1972. And then when that happened, the Chipmunks just sort of went away. They stopped being a thing. He left the whole industry to his son, but his son for some reason was like more interested in like pursuing their wineries and real estate businesses and just dropped the Chipmunks. He was like not interested in continuing that on. When Blondie's Call Me came out, a DJ named Chuck Taylor in LA played the 45 at 33 and a third RPMs. So it was sped up.
Mm-hmm.
And he called it the new Chipmunks single. He said, "Hey, everybody, I got the new Chipmunks single right here. We haven't heard from them in a while. Here they go. They're doing Call Me." And it's like, "Call me." That was like the whole joke. But then people throughout LA and then beyond, it grew and grew and grew, started requesting the new Chipmunks song. Everyone was like, "You got the new Chipmunks song? We're missing the Chipmunks. Where are the Chipmunks? They're doing Call Me." Everyone was like requesting this shit left and right. So then Ross Bagdasarian Jr., who now owns the Chipmunk stuff, he sees this is going on. He like quickly cuts a record called "The Chipmunks Go Punk." This is probably the most punk song on there. This song's like punk adjacent, but the rest of the songs are not that punk. There was the Knacks, "My Sharona," as well as "Good Girls Don't" and "Frustrated." Like the Knacks song, I think was enough. We all know the one song, "My Sharona." You had the Cars, "Let's Go," Tom Petty's "Refugee," Billy Joel's "You May Be Right," Queen's "Crazy Little Thing Called Love," and Linda Ronstadt's "How Do I Make You?" So no punk songs whatsoever, but they recorded this thing and it blew up. Like it just reignited people's love for the Chipmunks. They hadn't seen these guys since the 60s, and they had died off, and everyone was just reminded that they liked it. They ended up doing like a Christmas special on NBC in 1981, and came out with the new show, the one that you and I would recognize, and everyone else younger or older than us around that, like the Alvin and the Chipmunk show from 1983, came out as a direct result of the hype that this song reintroduced to the Chipmunks.
Gotcha. Dang. Well, he saw his opportunities. He took it. So
wow, very interesting. Like, yeah, it's so cool. You see a song just like we wouldn't know what the Chipmunks are anymore if this didn't exist, because they would have just been relegated to, a weird oddity from the 60s. They were just the Witch Doctor song and the Christmas song, and that was it. I mean, I've never seen the old cartoons. The really old ones?
No, the 60s? I don't think so.
I mean, it's not something
they were on reruns or something, and I never really noticed.
Yeah. They look different. They like, what's a weird show? Like, I know the 80s one, though.
Yeah.
I definitely grew up watching this.
That's the one I recognize.
Yeah. This is like when they look like and they sound. And that's Ross Bagdasarian doing the voices. Like, he took over fully for his dad. It's so cool that he but just crazy that you're like, dude, you had this thing just sitting there and it just never whatever. And then it came to fruition years later and ended up blowing up. It's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else is going on in the music world, huh?
I have a news thing I want to get to real quick before we jump into the rest of the music. On January 16th, Paul McCartney was arrested in Tokyo, Japan, after authorities found marijuana in his luggage at the Tokyo International Airport. So this is the second time that he's been caught out of country, not even in his own country, in the UK.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's like he's not from here.
No, he's not from here, but he's always in some foreign country.
Yeah. He was in Jamaica the last time we talked about this.
Oh, is that where it was?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It doesn't seem like that would be illegal in Jamaica.
I know, right? So they were like,
are you sure it wasn't
God,
like
really?
Barbados or something?
Maybe. I know some island country. I know that. It seemed like the type of place where he was like, "Are you kidding me?" It must have been how it went down.
Well, that being said, so he was on tour with his band Wings at the time, and he was arrested and potentially faced 7 years in jail, but he only spent 9 days. And after
That's a
he was
long time.
deported and then released, McCartney later said that it was the maddest thing of his life, quote unquote. He attributed it to underestimating the Japanese strict drug laws. It's
Yeah.
like, why do people even care anymore? I don't understand.
That's crazy. 9 days is not a short amount of time
No.
to be locked up in a
but that's
foreign
pretty
land.
much what he said the last time he got caught.
Yeah, but last time was kind of a slap on the wrist. It was just like they're like, you shouldn't, Paul McCartney, you should know better. Oh,
No,
like, gave him a
Japan
fine.
doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, that's pretty. Damn, son, that state's like, it's just weed, man. Calm down. It's crazy that Paul McCartney, out of all the Beatles, is the one like can't stop getting arrested for smoking pot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that that was their deal. Was there a couple like they were a group of little druggy gentlemen throughout the late '60s, all doing acid and shit. But Paul seems like for some reason the most clean cut. He'd be the one I would assume actually didn't smoke weed,
or like wasn't so careless about it at least.
Yeah. He'd be like, "Oh, I only do it in my hotel room in the middle of the night." He puts like a rolled up wet towel under the door and shit. I can totally see him doing that. It's like the goody two shoes of the band, but apparently he was the bad boy.
Yeah, who knew?
That's funny. I saw that and I didn't end up actually writing anything down about it because these other stories where I was like, there's a couple big things going on this year in the year of music that I thought we should touch on. So I didn't look into that one too much. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I think that you're going to talk about the big one. So,
okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and run through these. There's two other important stories. I'll run through these chronologically real quick. On February 18th, late in the night, or on February 19th in the early morning, they're not exactly sure when, singer Bon Scott of the band AC/DC would pass away at the age of 33 years old. He left the London club The Music Machine. He got all sorts of wasted. And then he was hanging out with his friend. His friend let him sleep in their Renault 5, like a little sports car. And basically they just like found him the next morning, unresponsive. And he was pronounced dead on arrival. So like when the actual medics and shit got him. Yeah. The coroner called it acute alcohol poisoning and, quote, death by misadventure. Which I was like, the UK sounds like a fun place, man.
What is that?
Death by misadventure.
Did you look that up? What is that?
Yeah,
mean?
I did. I had to look it up. I was like, what is that? You followed a fucking rabbit into a hole and then it's like officially recognized as being an accidental death caused by a risk taken voluntarily.
Gotcha.
I thought it was interesting.
Partying
They have
too hard.
Yeah. They have a whole like name for that there. Like you if you're like doing parkour on the side of a building and slip and fall off, they're like, misadventure. That risk was unwarranted.
That makes sense. I mean you died being an idiot. They don't have those laws here.
Yeah, it's like that's just fun that there's that distinction.
2 handles of Jack Daniels. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. This was a misadventure. When he passed away, they considered disbanding, but he had praised the band Geordie a lot and the singer Brian Johnson from that group. He said, quote, he was a guy who knows what rock and roll is all about. So he just like he liked Geordie a lot. He liked Brian Johnson, and so the band was like, listen, if anybody's going to be the next singer, it should be him. So they tapped Brian Johnson to start singing with them on the next album, Back in Black.
Hey, at least it was somebody that he would have wanted, or maybe would have actually picked himself to be the replacement.
Yeah, they did. They went for I've listened to Geordie a little bit. I like them. They're cool. I actually like Brian Johnson singing for Geordie more than for AC/DC. I never was a huge fan of his AC/DC stuff.
Is he like trying a little too hard?
I don't know. It's just like he's got that, I just don't like that. I just think he sounds not good, especially when Bon Scott's one of my favorite hard rock singers. I think he's just got such a cool voice. And Brian Johnson's fine. I just think he's got a weird quality to his voice that I'm not crazy about. Let's talk about the other there's 2 more tragedies. The next one, September 25th, also in the world of hard rock bands from the 70s. John Bonham of the band Led Zeppelin would die at the age of 32 years old. He had been drinking all day long. I guess they were going to like record and stuff. On the way there, he had his limo driver pull over and get breakfast. And he had 4 quadruple screwdrivers in the morning. So started the day off with 16 shots. Went from there. That was the morning. So you just imagine where the rest of his day went. They went and did rehearsal all day. He was drinking the whole time. This was for their first U.S. tour since 1977. They were like about to come back to the U.S. and like do a big old huge thing. But he fell asleep at Jimmy Page's house, and they put him in bed, laid him on his side. The next afternoon, they came in and found him dead. The actual like toxicology report came back and showed that he had about 40 shots in the 24 hours leading up to when he would fall asleep and choke on his own vomit. On December 5th, Led Zeppelin announced that they would disband. So they did not go the AC/DC route. They said, the band's over. Our good friend is gone. We're done. So Led Zeppelin, no more as of 1980. I can't imagine continuing on in a band if one of my best friends was in it and passed away. It'd be way too hard to just like get up on stage every night and be like, "Oh, who's behind me? Not John."
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems rough.
Yeah, I agree. Especially you've had so much success. It's like we did it. We had fun. We experienced it. Now it's time to hang it up. You know what I mean? It's not like we got to keep going. This is what John would have wanted. You know what I mean?
Well, we got one more really sad rock and roll story. So this is this is the most known about death from this year, obviously, is that on December 8th, so just 3 days after Led Zeppelin would disband, John Lennon, at the age of 40, was shot in front of his Manhattan apartment by Mark David Chapman. Mark was 25 years old, young guy, just a confused kid, I think. Now that I'm older and I'm realizing shit, you're like, oh, this kid was just a troubled young man. He was from Hawaii, didn't know that, and really loved the book Catcher in the Rye. He also was pretty religious, and he was really angry at John Lennon for what we talked about in 1966 when he said that the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. That really pissed Mark David Chapman off. He also didn't like the lyrics of Imagine, as well as the song God, where he says, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in Jesus, I don't believe in the Beatles, all that kind of shit. So Mark David Chapman feels that John Lennon is personally attacking him, I guess, at some sort of level because he's going after his faith.
Like blasphemous.
Yeah. He spent all day outside the hotel room or the apartment building, which you're also like, come on, can somebody... I mean, I get John Lennon's a huge celebrity, but you think the doorman would be like, listen, bro, you gotta scoot. You can't be here all day. But he was like just hanging out with the doorman. He was hanging out with other fans as they came and went. And he got there like in the morning, like early morning. And at about 5 p.m., after taking pictures for Rolling Stone, actually, it's like the super famous picture of John Lennon, like butt naked, grabbing Yoko and like loving on her and stuff. That was like the actual photo shoot that happened that day. And then they did that photo shoot. They left the hotel. As he was leaving, he signed David Chapman's copy of Double Fantasy, the Yoko and John Lennon album. They would return at 10:50. So he still fucking sat out there for five or six more hours. And as they walked past him, Mark David Chapman would open fire on John Lennon from behind. Shot 5 times, hit him 4 times in the back. Then he sat and read his favorite little book, Catcher in the Rye, until the police showed up. He just sat on the curb reading his book. Mark David Chapman would plead guilty and received 20 years to life. He has been denied parole 14 times since he became eligible in the year 2000. So he's still in jail. And that's how the Beatles
He's probably going to die
disbanded.
there, too, at this point.
Yeah, I wonder how old he is now. I mean, he's not that old. 1980, so that was actually 46 years ago. Damn, yeah, he's got to be 70 now. Wow.
All right, I got one lighter news story.
Okay.
"O Canada" was set as a Canadian national anthem this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn. A lot of Canadian stuff is a lot later than I thought. 1980? Damn. Or like they had the Canadian flag was like invented in 1950 something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
like
they're a
damn,
younger nation than we give them credit.
maybe. I actually don't know how old Canada is as a nation. 1980 though, that's crazy. That's like that song doesn't feel very modern to me.
July 1st, 1867.
It's pretty recent. That actually is a lot
Yeah.
more recent than I would have thought. I kind of would have thought they were older than us. I guess
Well,
they were
were
just
a
like an
British
untamed
colony
wilderness.
like we were, and French, I guess, both. But
Yeah. Oh, Canada. The
But that song
pipes,
did
the
not come out
pipes
this
are
year.
calling.
that song did not come out this year. But let's talk about some other ones that did.
All right, let's look at the rest of the top 10 songs on the Billboard charts. Number 6 was the aforementioned Crazy Little Thing Called Love, the punk rock song that Chipmunks would do. Queen is great. That's a funny song, though. It's like kind of like the least Queen-like song there is from them.
Yeah, I think that's what I like about Queen. They have like I like their different styles of songs.
Yeah, they do different shit
yeah.
like constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, the aforementioned Paul McCartney with Coming Up. Actually, this is the first time ever when I was listening to this playlist on shuffle with my headphones on and stuff. This song came on, and as I was walking, I was like, what is this song? This song kind of rips. I like this one. And I looked at it, I was like, Paul McCartney. First time I've ever like just liked a Paul McCartney song without knowing it was him or like any kind of connection to it. I just enjoyed the song and looked at it to see who it was. And I was like, actually, I dig this. This is cool. It's like my favorite Paul McCartney song. It really doesn't sound like him at all. It kind of sounds like something that could have come out many years later.
It's kind of funky too.
Yeah, a little disco-y. Speaking of funky, number 8 on the list is Funky Town by Lips Inc. Very funny that is
a lot more disco vibes in this year than I would think.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, not just... Because, like I said, Call Me, kind of little disco-y. Another Brick in the Wall, disco. Magic, disco. Rock With You was disco. Somehow, Captain and Tennille, the only one that wasn't disco in the top 10, pretty much. Number 9, Still Rock and Roll to Me by Billy Joel. And then number 10 is The Rose by Bette Midler. Another soundtrack song. Soundtracks were very big this year.
Mm-hmm.
And this one just makes me think of Napoleon Dynamite. Some say love.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
That movie's so good. I haven't seen that in a while. I think the thing that I find the most interesting on this list probably is the hip hop. There is a little bit of hip hop going on in this year. You had The Breaks and Rapper's Delight. And Rapper's Delight's like pretty much considered the first real rap song that was big and popular. It's funny to listen to now, obviously. It's very antiquated. A hip hop, hip it to the hip hip hop. You don't stop. It's funny. The whole last verse being about food is very funny.
I didn't realize how old that song was.
Yeah. Like I said, this is it. This is like the start of rap was 1980.
Yeah.
I mean, it started in the late 70s, but this is like when it first became popular. And actually, interestingly, Blondie, they were actually, I think I've talked about this before, but they were actually the first band to hit number 1 on the Billboard charts with a rap song. And it was this year. Blondie's song Rapture has her rapping, Debbie Harry raps in the middle of that song. And that was actually the biggest hit from this year to include rap. So it was the first time anyone ever made it on the charts with rap was Debbie Harry. Noted, not rapper, Debbie Harry. Okie dokie. Are we done with the songs?
I think so.
The songs have been sung. And now it's time.
Lady has sung.
Yes. It's over. Good night, folks. Wait. Don't turn off your podcast machine. We got to talk about the movie. We are going to be talking about the number 1 film in the country in the year 1980. That film was The Empire Strikes Back. This came out May 21st of 1980, directed by Irvin Kershner. It was The story is by George Lucas, kind of. We'll get into that. Screenplay was by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan. And this film stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. Had a budget of between $18 and $30 million. We'll get into that as well. And a gross of $203,359,628 in the year 1980. The synopsis is as follows. In this spellbinding Star Wars sequel, the battle to save the galaxy from the evil empire rages on. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Chewbacca face attack by the Imperial forces and its AT-AT walkers on the ice planet Hoth. While Han and Leia escape in the Millennium Falcon, Luke travels to Dagobah in search of Yoda. Only with the Jedi Master's help will Luke survive when the dark side of the Force beckons him into an ultimate duel with Darth Vader. All right, let's see. How many times have you seen this film?
Probably like a handful of times.
Yeah, because we've talked before. You didn't grow up on Star Wars.
No,
you were introduced to it later in life.
This one has to be up there with one of my more liked ones, I would say.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually watched this one. I think for some reason I think this one, as an adult, I kind of forgot about this one. To be honest, it sort of just exists in the middle. Obviously, it's this middle movie, but the first one sets it all up. I've talked about how much I love the first Star Wars, and it's like the introduction to this crazy world and everything is so big and vast and stuff. The third one we kind of talked about how it was a little bit like nothing really happens on the third one. They just redo the first movie and then play with Ewoks for a while. And this one, I was surprised that I was like, damn, this is really good, actually. There's like a lot going on. It does build on, I think this is way better than the third one. I think it builds on the first one. I was like really like, damn, I guess this is actually maybe my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I think that a lot of the Star Wars that I like now even is kind of based around this. There's like a mission that they're doing, or like it's like set out to do something, and then there's always like moving parts. The Mandalorian kind of plays that way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I think that this is kind of the generic piece of Star Wars that they now set into all the other storylines.
Yeah, we talked about that with the third one, where it's like the third one, they're just repeating the first one. And it kind of seems like that's every one of them. They're just like, all right, you got to go shut down a generator. That's sort of most of what Star Wars is watching characters get to some generator to shut down.
Yep.
Like shield generator.
Yeah, and then somebody gets caught, and then they get taken, and they got to get them back.
Yeah. And this one, it does sort of follow that, but it isn't as cut and dry as it is with the other two, where you're like, oh, we got a generator to shut down. This one's like, okay, we're on Hoth. I kind of actually, when it happened, I was sort of like, damn, I don't remember it being that like a nothing of a thing that separates them for this entire movie. It's just that they like run away. They all just get into a ship and fly away, and they're like, oh, fuck Luke. What? Like, why there wasn't a conversation about it or anything? They weren't like, oh no, we left Luke behind or anything. It's just sort of like, oh, we just need these characters to not be together in this movie. What happens is they just fly away. And I didn't really remember that being how it happened.
Yeah, I don't think that they're... I don't know. In the back of my mind, I don't think they're worried about Luke.
Yeah.
I think they go like, know that he'll be okay wherever he is. You know what I mean? I think they're more worried about their current situation.
That's a good point. Also, this came out 3 years after the first film, but it's also set 3 years later, which is kind of cool. You know, you normally would just like make it the next day or whatever, but this is like, yeah, no, Luke is a well-seasoned rebel fighter at this point. So he's not just some little dorky, annoying kid like he was in the first one. At this point, they're like, no, Luke's got his shit together. He's good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the behind-the-scenes stuff for this one. After 1977, when Star Wars did so well, George Lucas hired Lee Brackett to write the sequel. And they worked on a draft together for a while beforehand. And that draft had Luke's sister in it, but it wasn't Leia. So just, I know he said like, oh, I had this whole plan from the beginning. It's like, no, you didn't, man. There's fucking drafts out there that show that you didn't have this shit planned. You were flying by the seat of your pants. Leia is not his sister. There's a different sister who comes in. His dad is not Darth Vader in the first draft of the script. Lando is actually a clone from the Clone Wars. Like, not really, doesn't change that much, but Obi-Wan tells Luke to leave Dagobah in the original draft. That, I think, was a better thing. I think that this movie, that was my main annoyance with this film, was just like that Luke is like, all right, well, I'm ready. I'll see you guys later. It's like, you have not done any training well at this point. And they're like, listen, it's a trap. If you go, you're going to lose. Like, this is what this is. And he's like, well, I got to do what I got to do. You're like, so they're just wrong. Like, all this force, all of their knowledge, all their mysticism is just incorrect here. He is ready. He was right. Despite only having trained to be a Jedi for like 20 minutes,
Right.
At 30 years old, he's good. He's ready. And he was, and he's fine. And he goes out and he's okay. They were wrong. I just thought that was like kind of a couple things. That and them getting separated. I thought these are a lot weaker story points than I remembered.
Well, he did lose. He survived. He didn't die.
Yeah.
But he definitely lost that battle, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Lee Brackett passed away in 1977. So they worked on this first draft. She would pass away. And then he would hire Lawrence Kasdan to rewrite what he had outlined in the meantime. So this is kind of a script that's a bunch of different people worked on it at different points.
I have to say, I think that making Darth Vader his father is a good idea, because then it kind of just becomes like a Hamlet style thing. Like, you killed my
like a
dad
soap
and
opera.
then you took his spot. Now I'm going to kill you. You know what I mean? I think it's more interesting that he is his father. And they
like
separate,
that,
even like people separate them as different people, separate Vader and Anakin as different people.
Yeah.
And everyone's like aware of that separation. I think it's kind of cool.
That's a good change. That was a good change. I think that Leia being Luke's sister, even as a kid, I was like, that's what the hell? Why did they kiss each other then? If you had this plan, what are you doing? Obviously you didn't have this plan. Just don't make them be brother and sister. You don't have to do that.
Yeah. It's true.
I think that would, and really they're setting it's an interesting choice, because they're clearly setting this up for a love triangle. The whole first movie is sort of a love triangle. This movie's still kind of a love triangle for most of it. And then you're just suddenly like, oh, and it's a sister. That just sort of comes out of left field. You're like, why did you spend so long setting this up? You're like, oh, maybe Luke and Leia should get together. And then now suddenly you're like, oh no, they're brother and sister. It's okay. I guess she should be with Han. I wonder if it was just to like eliminate the love triangle aspect. Be like, no, I want her to be with Han. I think that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's not a whole lot of casting stuff on this one, because there's a lot of returning people. But a couple of interesting notes about that. James Earl Jones, obviously the voice of Darth Vader, he's not in the suit. He declined credit, as he did in the 1977 film, which I never noticed. That James Earl Jones is not listed in the cast of Star Wars. And he's not on this film's credit list either. Because to him, he considered himself practical or special effects that was enhancing David Prowse's performance. He's like, David Prowse is Darth Vader. I'm just the same, like the breathing on the thing, the lightsaber coming up at the end, my voice. You add all that shit afterwards in post. And so he didn't take credit. He's like, I don't play Darth Vader. Prowse plays Darth Vader. That's pretty cool of him. He earned $15,000 for a half a day's work, and then got like a little percentage on the film as well. So he made some money off this. But yeah, he was barely on set. He only worked half a day, and that's the entirety of Darth Vader dialogue came out.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a ton of lines, and when he does, they're never like monologues.
Yeah, he just sort of he's very like a sort of figure in this movie more than anything. Just sort of like you move him around to be intimidating. Speaking of that, just the scene where they come into like the banquet hall at the end, and Darth Vader's sitting there at the table is so jarring to me. You see him in like a normal, just seeing him in a normal situation is hilarious. He's like stands up at the table, like rises for his guests to arrive. Very funny to me. I don't just he looks so out of place doing anything but standing menacing. Anthony Daniels returned as C-3PO, but like requested higher pay than he'd gotten in the first one, because he was like bummed out that in the original they didn't really advertise him. Anthony Daniels wasn't like part of the cast. Like he was credited, but he wasn't. There wasn't like a big thing that they said. And Anthony Daniels is C-3PO, because they kind of wanted people to think it was a real robot, I guess. And so they were sort of, or at least just the illusion of it. They just didn't want to break it for people and be like, it's Anthony Daniels in there. Don't worry about it. So the second movie came out, he's like, I don't want to do this again. If I don't fucking matter. Like, I don't want to, this is not fun. It's really a hard movie to shoot, and I'm not getting credit for it. So they're like, well, we'll pay you more. All right, fine, I'll come back.
Yeah, okay.
Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi almost didn't come back because his eyes were like really bad and he couldn't act anymore, basically. So they just were like, listen, we'll rewrite you to just barely be in this movie. So he came back and did all his stuff in a day.
Mm.
And then for the role of Lando Calrissian, they like Billy D. Williams was like, this is obviously a token role. You know, you guys just needed a black guy in the movie. That's fine with me. I'm happy to be in this film, but that's what you wanted. And the producers and everybody's like, no, we didn't write this for a black man. This is just who happened to be the best one for the role. The other people they were considering were Howard Rollins, Terry Alexander, Robert Christian, Yaphet Kotto, and Thurman Scott, who all happened to be black. So,
coincidence.
maybe yeah.
I didn't tell you before. We're Pink Floyd shirt.
Oh, nice. Hey, there you
I don't know. I don't think the wall's in here, but it's like every other album cover.
Dang, okay, that's cool. It's every other one but the wall.
I know. I thought it was on here, but I don't see it.
I have one more interesting casting thing here that actually I don't know if I was aware of this prior, is that the Emperor in this film, nowadays when you watch it, they will have Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor, the one who would play him in the next film. And they like went back and put him into this one. But the original version of this movie, I don't know if you saw this, it looks pretty wacky. The original Emperor is voiced by Clive Revill. And then there was a test done, like an on-screen test by Marjorie Eaton, which I guess they didn't like. So they then used Rick Baker. He's like this really huge special effects artist. He did like American Werewolf in London and Harry and the Hendersons and shit. Like he's like just a special effects guy. He was working on this movie. His wife, Elaine, he put makeup on her and just used her as the Emperor. So in the original 1980s film, she is the actual Emperor on screen, and they superimposed, like they put a mask on her, and they superimposed chimpanzee eyes onto her eyeballs.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, it looks weird. It's very trippy. You can find clips of it on YouTube and stuff. So I was like, unless you watch the old version of this film, you don't really see that. I mean, actually, it's worth pulling up probably, huh?
Yeah, I want to find it or see it.
All right, here's the original.
What is thy bidding, my master?
There is a great disturbance in the Force.
I have felt it.
We have a new enemy. The Force is strong with him. The son of Skywalker must not become a Jedi.
If he could be turned, he would become a powerful ally.
Can it be done?
He will join us or die, master.
You can kind of tell that there's a mask on her.
Yeah. But it's like those eyes are weird, very
Crazy.
strange. Yeah, it looks so, and it kind of at first you're like, I don't know, maybe those are just like built up around the mask, and then when you see them blink, it's like, ugh, what the fuck? Gross.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen
Super
a chimpanzee
creepy.
before, right? I thought I knew what they looked like, but I guess not, because I don't remember eyes like that on any creature. Like two little like
not-
wax
not
volcanoes.
good. They
Yeah, it
could've
was really
just-
creepy.
I think just the mask would have been fine.
Yeah. I don't know why they had to go with those chimpanzee eyes. But I guess they just weren't. They were not getting something they were happy with, because they did the on screen with, like I said, Marjorie Eaton. Didn't like it. They had to then put all this shit onto Elaine Baker's, and still afterwards, like, I don't know, maybe throw some chimpanzee eyes on her or something. Look,
Damn,
Like,
getting
we
down
cannot-
there for the.
we cannot figure out how to make it a convincing emperor. And then the next one, it's like, oh, he's just an old man. We'll just go with that instead of making him a weird, creepy creature. This was kind of weird. Is that a couple things? This movie was very fraught. The production, lots of crazy shit was happening. 1980, another film came out, The Shining. And when we talked about The Exorcist, there was like a fire that happened. The same thing happened on The Shining. It's like, yeah, horror movies, maybe God doesn't want you to be making these movies. That there was a fire on a soundstage where The Shining was being filmed. And that soundstage was going to go to the production for Star Wars once The Shining was wrapped up. But they now needed help finishing their movie. So then Star Wars actually did give up 2 sound stages to let them film. So that would like shrunk production. That's why they were so over budget. That's why they were way over their time limit. because they had to film. They were like running 60 different sets through like 3 sound stages, as opposed to like the 4 or 5 that they were hoping to have. And yeah, they were just having like film double duty with The Shining. Another thing that went on was Carrie Fisher had the flu as well as bronchitis during the production and dropped to 85 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, she was ill. The another one was Mark Hamill injured his hand on a speeder bike, and like during a stunt that he was called in to do the day his son was born. I was like, you can say no, right? You didn't have to. He was like upset, and that's why he injured his hand because he like his mind wasn't there. He's like, I can't believe I'm in here at work. My son was born today. I'm like, just don't go in. You could be like, no, look, you guys do this tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
and
But-
we'll do it then.
yeah.
You
So
guys
not
are
only was
already
he
3 months behind schedule anyway. I don't give a shit.
yeah. Like not only did he miss the birth of his son, he also hurt his hand. So then made the
Ironically
production
enough.
take longer. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah, right. Like they're like, well, we'll just chop it off in post. Who cares? One of the coolest lines from this movie is "I know," where Harrison Ford and Leia at the end before he gets frozen in carbonite, and she says, "I love you," and he responds with "I know."
Yeah.
It's like super cool. Oh wow, Harrison Ford, like one of those like classic movie lines. You're like, God, fucking Han Solo is so cool, dude. That was improv, actually. That they just didn't like the idea of Han Solo saying "I love you too." It just didn't feel right to anybody on set, and so they had Harrison Ford just improv. And I guess he was done at this point. He was like, I'm not doing any more of this shit. I'm tired of doing these takes over and over again. So this was the last one that he did. And he just was like, I know. He was just like, I'm over this shit. And that was the one that they used. That's cool. That's definitely the best line. Man, that is so fucking funny. Like that, it's one of those things you just hear for years and people talk about. But you're like, the reality of that, the woman that you love confesses her love to you right before you get frozen, maybe to death.
Probably going to die.
Yeah, the only thing you could say to her is, I know. Like, whoa, bro. Ice cold. It was honestly mean.
But she doesn't love you anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe
like,
she
ew,
did.
never mind. Ew, it's like flip him off right before he goes under.
I hope you die. Hope you don't get unfrozen.
On set, this was a cool thing with the big reveal being that Darth Vader is the father of Luke Skywalker.
Should we say spoiler alert every time before we...
You're right. How I should have. I feel so bad. People are like, what? David Prowse, because he was speaking the Darth Vader lines on set, and then they dubbed him over with James Earl Jones. On set, he said, Obi-Wan is your father. So like that was the line that like the cast and crew heard. The only people who knew what the actual line was, that it was, I am your father, were Kirshner, Mark Hamill, and then the producers. So as far as I saw, that was it. Like none of the other crew, cast, Harrison Ford, nobody else knew that he was going to be. So even on set, you're just like, oh, okay, Obi-Wan's his father. And then he's like, no!
I was like, why is he screaming about it? Is it that bad? I like that guy. I thought he
was
liked
your
him too.
friend.
Like, this doesn't make sense, actually.
I guess he's just sad that he's dead. I don't know. That's impossible.
I guess. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It is possible. Like, that is a possibility.
Yeah, you're right. I think that as the rest of the crew, you must be like, I think we might be dropping the ball on this reveal here. This is not.
Yeah. Can we retake that? Why is no one saying anything?
Can we like pick a different person to be his father? Like, Leia is your father. No, that's impossible. Well, I really, like I said, this is one that revisiting it was very fun. Well, what was your overall feelings about this, having revisited this film?
I really like this movie. I think, like I said, it's one of my more liked Star Wars films.
One of my top 3, I would say.
Yeah, for sure.
Which are just the original 3.
The
Those are the only
original
ones I actually like.
Well, yeah, I think it's more interesting, and it kept my attention more than most of the other Star Wars ever have.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Out of 1,980 chimpanzee eyes, what are you going to give this?
That's a good one. I'm gonna give it 1,776 chimpanzee eyes.
very patriotic. I feel like I have to rate it like equally at least as the first one because I did enjoy it as much as that one. I think maybe a
I don't
little
remember
slightly
what I
less.
rated the first one.
I don't either, so I'm just gonna go off of that my guesstimate here and say 1776. Fuck it.
Yeah, nice.
We have a quorum. All right, let's run through a couple of these other movies real quick. You have the aforementioned American Gigolo that came out. Neither one of us watched. Also, Cruising was a pretty similar style of movie. They were like sort of neo-noir kind of films. Also, like I think they're both. I know that American Gigolo, obviously, about a male prostitute. Cruising is about like gay culture, I think. So just some like kind of alternative type movies, I suppose. Two really huge movies that came out this year, very critically acclaimed, both have animals in the title. The Elephant Man, I've never seen, always wanted to. And then Raging Bull. Also, both these movies are in black and white.
Have you ever seen Raging Bull? No.
I haven't either. I actually started to watch it, and I feel like an idiot, but I fell asleep. I was like, I guess I'm not going to watch this one this week. It's so long, and it's not bad by any stretch. But the whole time I kept thinking, this is just a less good Rocky. I know people are going to hate the fact that I'm saying this, but it's like it's not as good as Rocky is, and it's pretty much the same fucking movie. Like
I always thought it was a comparison to it, not just because it's a boxing movie.
Yeah. It's like they try to do the same sort of stuff. Like he's got Joe Pesci in one of his like really cementing himself as an actor roles. He's playing basically the Paulie role, where he's like his brother, and he's like, "Come on, man, you got to do this." But he's like the more nebbish kind of like. They sort of switch roles where Robert De Niro's character is sort of a bully, and Joe Pesci's like his brother, like, "Come on, man, you can't be such a fucking hard ass all the time." And I don't know, I just felt like they were trying to like make a darker version of Rocky, and the whole time I kept just going, I just don't think this is as good, in my opinion. But what do I know? I fell asleep, so I didn't get to. I don't really have a good.
They're gonna be so
opinion
mad.
about
You
it.
didn't finish the movie.
A movie that is well talked about from this year. People reference this one a lot. Is Caligula, another one I've never seen. I just know it's like one of those gnarly sexual movies that like there's a lot of like I think that there's like on-screen fellatio and stuff like that in this film.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was like a bunch of orgies and stuff. He's a Roman emperor who was like known for hedonism and shit like that. And they were just like, let's make a movie about that. I guess it's like 3 hours of just fucking.
It's a
But I've
porno.
never watched it. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, they just can't say that.
Yeah. Urban Cowboy, Coal Miner's Daughter, and Bronco Billy were all these movies that they created a resurgence in country music on the popular charts this year. So they were like, that's why you see some of that popping up on the list. There was some country in there. Okay, this is a fun list of a lot of musical based movies came out that were like Fame. We've talked about Fame before. That's one of those classic, like that's sort of a template for a lot of movies after the fact, like going to a school to teach you how to be famous or whatever. You also had Flash Gordon. I've never seen, always wanted to see. Can't Stop the Music, the aforementioned Village People movie. Xanadu, the Olivia Newton-John movie. Also, The Apple is also another one that's like people hated that one as well. But I would say the best musical movie of this year has to be The Blues Brothers.
Oh, great movie.
I love that film. I've seen that so many times. I didn't rewatch it this week though, but I have seen that a million times. A musical film that I watched for the first time this week. It's been on my list since I was like in high school. It's called The Forbidden Zone, and it's essentially like the Oingo Boingo movie. They were a stage troupe, kind of like they're kind of a band, kind of like performance artists. And this movie was just them doing like the shit they used to do on stage, on screen, essentially. And it's fucking wacky as hell. It's really interesting. I like enjoyed it, but I don't mean it's not like necessarily good. It's also kind of like makes your skin crawl a little bit. It's got a lot of like John Waters ishness to it. You know, it's very like, yeah, you're just like, ooh, this is a little off-putting. Like a lot of like Nazi imagery for some reason, and like Mickey Mouse ears on people.
just
and
to like
like
piss people off.
yeah, just like grimy, you know. It's very, very icky movie for a lot of it. And like people with like crazy makeup and shit. It's very like off-putting, but it's a very strange movie. It's like this family has a portal to the forbidden zone in their basement that they don't know about, and like one of the kids gets lost down there, and uh like a dude with like a frog mask like head in it that's like a prominent character in the film, and he's like it's a very strange film. It was interesting. I kind of liked it. Kind of didn't love it though. A film that I do love from this year, also kind of musical, 9 to 5, starring Dolly Parton. Have you seen that?
No.
A very, very fun movie. You also had Stir Crazy, and Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor movie. That one's great. The Gods Must Be Crazy. So 2 crazy movies. The Gods Must Be Crazy is really cool. It's this movie where like a tribe in Africa, they find someone like a plane is flying by, and the guy like drops a Coke bottle out of the plane, and this tribe, it's like uncontacted tribe, finds a Coke bottle, and they think it came from the gods, and then like this guy has to go on this trek to like give it back to the gods or something. Like, so he has to like travel across Africa to like get rid of this Coke bottle essentially. And it's a really funny movie. It's very interesting, and it's definitely not a movie that I don't think you would really make that movie today. It was very interesting. It's very weird. I rewatched Airplane the other night. I hadn't seen that in so long.
Love that movie.
I honestly forgot. I mean, I've seen it so many times, but rewatching it, like, man, this is one of the best comedies ever. It is so funny. It's so good. It's like really, really good. They just did such a good job. And watching it too, it's like that was just such a 1980 thing. Like, and there were a couple years after where it was like this movie was made for adults, but it's very silly. There's a lot of like hard adult comedy in it, but it's also silly and wacky and funny. It's like a cartoon, but it's for adults only. It's not like, oh, bring kids or whatever. It's like, no, this is like a lot of adult jokes in this film.
Yeah, kids aren't going to want to sit through this.
Yeah, they just don't give adults license to be silly anymore. You're like, adults aren't going to want to sit there and be wacky like that. I feel like it's just not that common anymore to do that. And even like slapsticks for years later when they would come out, like Hot Shots. That's what reminded me of the whole time. I loved Hot Shots as a kid. But Hot Shots isn't geared strictly at adults. You can watch that as a kid, and it's not that bad. Whereas Airplane really isn't. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Airplane that you're like, yeah, this is not good for kids. Caddyshack also came out this year. 2 huge 1980s comedies. Airplane and Caddyshack are like 2 of the biggest ones from this decade, I feel like.
Yeah.
A movie that I watched for the first time this week was Used Cars. It's Kurt Russell.
I fell asleep during that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did not finish that movie. I did start it though.
I enjoyed that one. I thought it was pretty funny. I love Kurt Russell, just in general. Like, so anytime he's in something, I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I was excited to like,
it's a funny
I want
movie.
to see a new Kurt Russell movie. I love this.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. You also had the first Mad Max movie. We've mentioned that one before. It's not the best of the Mad Maxes, but it's all right. It's a couple horror movies. We mentioned The Shining. You also had, these 2 huge films, The Shining and then Friday the 13th, which I have, summer 1980 Camp Crystal Lake shirt. Yeah. So it's like I actually had the year on it. I barely ever get to wear anything with the actual year printed on it, but it's a Camp Crystal Lake 1980 shirt. The first Friday the 13th is really good. Have you seen those films?
Yeah. I like those.
The first one's great. Like with the Kevin Bacon, his death scene is super cool. And then the fact at the end that, spoiler alert, it's the mom and not Jason. That's cool. The Fog was pretty good. Came out this year. Motel Hell is really sick. I love that film. Very weird, cheesy movie. Prom Night and Terror Train both starred Jamie Lee Curtis. She was the Scream Queen back then. And then 2 that were very funnily, these were both similarly named, but I don't think they had anything to do with each other. You had Christmas Evil, as well as New Year's Evil. Both came out. Like, inventive, guys.
They came out a week apart.
Christmas Evil, I love that film. It's very, very campy. It's like it's a very funny movie. It's really, I like that one. It's a B horror movie where this guy like dresses up as Santa Claus and goes on a murder spree. Also, this isn't a horror film, but an animated. Not a lot of kids movies actually. I don't think there really weren't any kids movies per se this year that I found. Did you find anything?
No, you know what? Because I'll actively look them up so I can like watch them with my daughter. Like we watched like Sword in the Stone like last time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I didn't really find any Popeye. But I don't think she would have cared about that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was this year. The only thing, like, kind of a cartoon that I saw came out was Return of the King. That's like I think that's the Rankin Bass one, where they're kind of like they did The Hobbit, and then Ralph Bakshi did the Lord of the Rings film, and then they came back and finished the trilogy. It's like they kept trading off who was doing these movies, so they're not connected to each other technically, but they just finished off a trilogy that like different studios were doing.
I didn't even see that came out this year.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's not. It's the worst of those 70s, 80s animated Lord of the Rings films, but it's okay. Last film I'll talk about here is this one's really interesting. Battle Creek Brawl was Jackie Chan's first American production. He had been a star in Hong Kong for a bit, but he came to a little place right down the street from where I am now called Floresville, Texas, which is where my mom is from. It's a small town. It's a really little, tiny, teeny town. Now it's a little bit bigger, but back in 1980, very small place. And my mom lived there when Jackie Chan came to film this movie.
Damn, that's cool.
And yeah, so like they got to go and watch him film the big end fight scene is in town. And I mean, I lived in Floresville, so it's like, oh my God, that's that building there, And yeah, this is like a couple, actually, like the whole Battle Creek, the town that they're in is Floresville. Like they're in the main street, basically. And I guess this guy, Jackie Chan, he asked out my mom, but her parents didn't let her go. They were very strict. They wouldn't let her go date a movie star. So she was unable to go. But her friend,
Asian.
I don't know. I hope not. But her friend went out with him instead.
Dang.
So I was this close to having Jackie Chan be my dad.
Dude, so close. Damn, I would have been doing this podcast with Jackie Chan's son. We would be millionaires, dude. What are you?
Yeah, it's super crazy.
Why aren't we using our powers to go back in time and change that? What are we doing?
That's a good point. Well, you spent this whole week back there, and I just watched my mom watch Jackie Chan. And I was like, that was crazy. From the bushes. Wow, she almost met him. But that's about it for the movies. It kind of was a very dark year for movies.
Yeah, I definitely see that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe like The Blues Brothers is the happiest movie on here.
Well, that being said, my thing that I am going to keep from the year 1980 is probably the happiest movie that happened this year. Airplane.
Okay. There you go. That's a good one. Very like the adult oriented Airplane. It's like, yeah, it's a happy movie, but it's not for kids still. It's not like
No. I had that movie like growing up though. It was like on VHS in our house.
Yeah. I had it on DVD. But yeah, I definitely watched that a lot back then. All right, let's see. What am I gonna save? You know what? I don't think I've ever done this before. I'm just gonna save The Empire Strikes Back. I don't think we've ever saved the movie we've talked about.
I don't think so. I think that is the first. But if you're gonna pick one, I approve.
Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, right after now, I'm looking over this shit. I'm like, why didn't I say The Shining? I probably prefer that. But oh well, my vote's been cast. We've saved The Empire Strikes Back. So that's cool with me. I'll take it. Well, I know that then I'll be thinking about The Shining and how it doesn't exist anymore. And that I remember it came out in the year 1980. But I'm the only one who knows that now. And I'll think back about when The Shining was out in theaters and be thinking to myself that we wish we were then.